everybody. Welcome back, I guess. If you've been here for a while, thanks for hanging out. If you're just tuning in, thanks for dropping by. This is Encounter Roleplay. We are in the middle of EncounterCon, a 48-hour stream of tabletop RPGs. Sounds like heaven on earth, in my opinion. It is 4 a.m. where I am. I just got a 2-hour nap, thanks, while Lindy was out there working her storytelling magic, and I am going to drive us into the next game. So I'm Little Red Dot. I'm excited to be playing some Fate, actually, here on Encounter Roleplay. I have recently fallen in love with it, and we're going to play a little interesting superhero origins game today. But let's go around and let's meet the cast that is with us today. As you guys go around, I ask you to decide on who your character is as a normal person. So why don't you introduce your characters with their name, their job, kind of what their occupation is, because I ask you to think about that as well. And let me know what your high concept is. In Fate, there's something called a high concept. It's a short phrase that defines your character, what makes them really important. So we're just going to go by what I've got here on the screen to my right, and I have no names, of course. So let me pull up actually Twitch, because I'm afraid I'm going to get everybody all wrong. So let's go with Travis. Travis, why don't you start and let us know who your character is?
Oh, okay. Hello, everyone. Tonight I'll be playing James Cannon, but if you know me well, you may call me Jimmy if you want. And I am known, but we got to make sure that not everybody calls you by your shorthand name. So anyway, I'm known as I do the morning livestock report and the morning show on local radio station. Folks know me. You tend to meet people as you communicate with them, tell them about the weather, tell them about the latest information, and that's who I'll be playing tonight.
All right. So you are our local radio hand, and if you haven't picked a high concept, I would say that actually is a pretty good one. Local radio man or influential radio man would be a great high concept because that is going to play into your aspects, and you'll be able to maybe gain some benefits from being a very influential radio man. Next up, we've got Celts. How are you today, Celts?
I'm good. Good morning, everybody. I'm going to be playing Merle Lyn. He's the eccentric town weirdo. He kind of owns and operates the junkyard. He kind of likes to dig through people's garbage, maybe even sometimes. So his high aspect's going to be eccentric town weirdo, and he's pretty awkward. Yeah,
it's pretty spot on. Wow. Okay. Next up, do my eyes deceive me? Is it Solobon?
That's it. Nailed it.
I got it right.
Yes,
awesome.
ma'am.
Cool. Great.
Yep.
Nailed
it the first time. Yeah, my name is Joseph Gold, or my character's name is Joseph Gold, and he is a former World War II vet turned bar owner here in Kensington. I forgot what we named the bar. There was a really good name, and it just sort of
the great thing about Fate
got lost in the Twitter DMs.
Whatever you want. We'll call it whatever you want.
It's just Joe's and
Joe's Bar.
Yep,
yeah,
it's Joe's Bar. There you go. And his high concept is that he is, I'm pulling it up right now, the man who solves other people's problems.
Oh my, that says a lot about your character. That's a great high concept. Very, very nice.
Yes.
And next up, we have G. Briggs. How are you today?
Hi, I'm doing good. I'm Jeanette.
Yeah,
Yep. And so I'm going to be playing Angie Apollonia. I am a wife of a soldier. Currently, my husband is not around, so I am working. I work as a waitress. I work the day shift at the Dewdrop Diner in town. So I am pouring coffee and serving pie and just taking care of the locals. And then a couple nights a week, I double as a waitress at the bar at Joe's. So, and I think my high concept would be probably town busybody because I talk to everybody, so I know everybody's business. So yeah.
That's actually pretty good. That's a good one. Very, very nice.
Everybody comes to my bar, darling. It's all good.
Yeah, everybody ends up at the bar. And last but certainly not least, Karahim, how are you today?
I'm good. Unlike for everybody else, it's a perfect normal morning for me. It's just past 9 a.m. here, so I'm gaming instead of working, which is good. I will be playing Maurice Morrison, not Junior, just Maurice Morrison. I changed the concept quickly earlier. His high concept is the grumpy mechanic and owner of Morris Motors. So he's the owner of the local garage and workshop, and will be fixing everybody's motors and cars and scooters and whatnot. And he's restoring a nice old Buick. He's turning into a hot rod.
I love it. Awesome. Well, before we dive in, you should know there are, of course, ways to donate and affect the game here on ERP. Most of the systems that they use do use the D20 system. This game uses something called fudge die or fate die. But if you do make a donation and or we do hit a viewer decision, I will uphold to those and I will figure out a way to make it fit within the fate core system. So get on that donate and support the show. Yeah. And we're going to just kind of hop right in. Now, today's game is going to be a bit of a literal learn to play this game. I don't think anybody here at the table has played Fate before, correct?
I have.
Nobody, maybe once. Okay, great. Okay, so we have had. Okay, great. So you guys will be able to help and follow right along. But I am going to do this as kind of a learn to play, so that the audience is also in on things. So Fate actually encourages this kind of play to build off one another and in a kind of creative storytelling fashion. So we're going to just get right on started here. So. Our story today takes place in a very special time and a very special location. Kensington, New Mexico. It is a small town, and the year is 1952. In the shadow of the Korean War, it stands as a beacon, representing all that is pure in the American lifestyle. There are very few historical records accounting the founding and building of Kensington, but it is estimated the town has only been around for about 30 years. The curse of a small town is that nothing stays secret for long. Recently, rumors of strange happenings and events have started to permeate through the town. Whether there is any truth in the whispers remains in question, but one thing is for certain. The town of Kensington is uneasy. The recent death and disappearance of a local military man shook the community to the core. But as proper Americans are wont to do, most of the community mourned in silence and moved on, counting their day-to-day existence behind the facade of happiness. Over the last few weeks, men in black suits have begun making appearances, asking questions of the locals. No one knows what exactly they want, and no one trusts them. Rumors have surfaced that they are connected to the military in some way, top secret. So the real question is, what do they want? In the wake of strange happenings, how is the military connected in all of this? And what does it mean for the people of Kensington? Our story opens up today at the bright dawn of a new day. As each of you start your day in your own special way, most of you turn on the radio to tune in to the local station, really the only one here. In this small town, to fill you in on what needs to, the things you need to know to start your day the right American way. And you tune in and hear a familiar voice, that, of course, of, I want to make sure I get his name right, because all I'm seeing is your super name. James. No, you're good. James Cannon. You hear the familiar voice, smooth talkings of James Cannon.
That's right. Let me get my hat. Hang on one second here. I gotta get my hat.
There it is. Yeah.
That was the livestock report from KNZT The Ranch. The weather today is bright and sunny. It is 88 degrees, and it's a beautiful day for a picnic or a lovely drive. In local news, Mrs. Johnson tried to pull a gopher out of a stump yesterday. The fire department had to be called when the stubborn little critter refused to budge. Luckily, no one was hurt. We'd like to acknowledge our friends from the armed forces who are currently visiting our fair town. Hello, fellas. And today's broadcast was sponsored by Joe's Bar, located right here in Kensington, and by Mrs. Pell's Frozen Peas, full of country goodness and green penis. So, thank you so much. Now we're going to go to the Moody Bible Prayer Hour here on KNZT. There's Jimmy Cannon. Thank you.
Your radio goes to static, and a 50s style tune, whatever is hot to trot that year, comes up on the radio, and you begin your day. Now, tell me, James, you have lived here for how long in this town of Kensington?
I think me and the missus, before she passed, moved here about 15 years ago. Right. And you have you frequent the local businesses that sponsor your show, no doubt. Oh, sure, of course. Bought me a truck. Local dealership bought me a truck. Very nice of them. Yeah. And so how do you, in fact, feel about your local mechanic and car salesman, Mr. Morris? Oh, I think we're dear friends. And I'm very excited to, I'm always dropping by to check on, he's still fixing up that, oh man, I can't remember what kind of car you're fixing up. What kind of car you're fixing up there? It's a Buick, wasn't it? Buick was a Buick. Yeah. Oh, he's fixing up. Gonna fix up that Buick. It's gonna be beautiful when he finally gets finished with it, I tell you. But I drop in, say hello. Yeah, and you've done your morning duties. You did your show. Job's pretty easy, and so you head on into town. Now, Kensington is a small town. It has a very few shops in it. The residential areas are quaint Stepford-type houses. But here in Kensington, there are a few shops that are seen in this long strip of town. There's a diner, of course, Dewdrop Diner, where you can get your eats and your pie and your coffee. There is a hair salon and a barber. Of course, the schoolhouse and library is just up and around the corner. You've got a grocery store, a gas station. Your fire and police department share a small facility. Of course, you've got your Morris Motors, which is your auto garage as well as your car's dealership. General store. Now, don't forget the local church. It sits off on the horizon. You can see the top of the steeple. There's the local dump, which sits just outside of town. We don't talk too much about the local dump. There's said to be a crazy man that runs it. There's a post office, and of course you've got a facility for general town maintenance. And as you walk through, the morning has already started. These people rise early with the sun to get their day started. Women walk about, kids are on their way. It's probably a weekday to school. And let's actually cut. Morris, what are you up to as your friend here, James, trots by? You heard him this morning on the radio. So, who are you supposed to Yeah. What are you up to when James strolls past your car dealership?
Well, I'm currently looking at the car somebody brought in, which has dents all over the place, which supposed to fix. So I'm taking off a panel and taking it off to the workbench and beat out the dents and that sort of thing. And they're doing proper work.
So you see your friend walk by, but how long have you been in this town? Have you been here for a while?
No, actually, it can't be. So if the town has been around for 30 years and I'm in my early 50s, so I was one of the first people to help set up the town. Obviously, a town needs a garage, so that was the first things we built.
Yeah, very, very true.
And actually, after school and church and all that sort of thing.
Right, and this was when the town kind of first got started. It was actually pitched to quite a few military men as a place to retire, quiet, especially those that may have some PTSD. So the military was very adamant about your replacement in this area. And but you moved. It was it was cheap and they helped you with a lot of the expenses, and here you are, new life, and I'm guessing you're loving it. But since you've been here for so long, you also know quite a few of the people here. Angie is, how do you know Angie, Morris?
I know Angie because she waitresses at the bar I hang out every night.
Oh, that's right. You have a little bit of a taste for the drink. Is that right? Yeah. And what is your, how do you feel about Angie? What is your story, if you would? How did you two become acquaintances?
Well, as I said, she's waitressing at the bar, and it's more casual acquaintance, I'd say. We see each other. We'll say hello if we meet each other in town. I might have breakfast at the diner as well, occasionally.
Yeah.
If liquid breakfast doesn't cut it.
Yeah. And Angie works, of course, in both places, which is what keeps her so in the know in this town. But you two are in the know, Morris, and so are you, James, that in the recent weeks there has been a bit of a tragedy around Angie. And it becomes very personal to you, Morris. And we're actually going to make this your first character aspect, which is... your character seems to care a lot about the military. So let's add one that says the military is my family. So that'll go right underneath on your sheet. I think it says high concept and then your troubled aspect. And right underneath that, you'll add a brand new aspect there. And I'm going to add, we're all going to get aspects as we go and begin to build them off your relationship with one another. But Angie's...
my fantasy ground has crashed.
Oh, no, that is not good. Okay, mine still seems to be running, so let me know if you can't get in, and I may have to boot us all out and back in. But so you know that her husband has recently left for the war or was shipped out, but she's not heard or had any contact with him since then. It seems odd that he would have not at this point responded, and the worst is being thought that he has gone missing. So either he's basically left the military and ran, or he's dead somewhere. And it's become kind of a personal thing, and the town has been in quite a bit of mourning over the loss of her husband.
I assume he wasn't the only one who was shipped out from our town?
Nope, there were two more. My son? Yeah. I'm sorry, say that again?
Like my son, for example?
Like your son. Yeah. And they all seem to be kind of missing. Nope. Nobody's made contact yet. Okay. They should have already arrived, after they were shipped out. So they basically recruited the people from our town, the 3 soldiers we had living here, and shipped them out. They were supposed to go fight. But it's had everybody a little on edge. Now, Angie, you've been going through a pretty rough time of it. What does your morning routine look like?
So my morning routine, I get up before the sun. I'm probably up and out of the house by a little before 5 in the morning. Take my bike and I ride down to the diner and open it up, get things started on the prep grill, get the coffee on, make sure the pies are stocked in the, put them in the pie trays or the ones in the ice box in the back, and just sort of get the register ready to go first thing. And then start pouring coffee as soon as the diner opens at 6.
Yeah, and you guys watch both, Morris and James as you guys kind of make eye contact. And you know what? Let's actually say to yours, James, maybe your first aspect that you can build off of. And I'll tell you how these aspects can be used here in a second. But your aspect is my car dealer is my friend. Which means that you guys have a friendly relationship, and you can use that to your advantage, hopefully throughout this game. My car dealer is my friend. And you guys watch. Angie is cleaning a window, the door window of the diner. She's clearly already got things going. People are coming and going. Some of them actually already up before the sun had risen to get their morning coffee. And you can see the people in the town regard her with that look on their face, the sad, kind of melancholy look of pity that they have for her. And you begin to feel their eyes on you, Angie. It's actually going to be. Oh, hang on. I want to make sure I get the right gremlin. Yeah, it's actually Joseph that walks past. And you two are in your morning routine. What's brought you to town here, Joseph?
Like to Kensington in general?
No, just it's the kind of morning. What does your morning routine look like that would have brought you into town?
Oh, I just began opening up the bar, taking in stock, see what would have happened exactly. Of course, after a good kind of like morning constitution and wake himself up, maybe some push-ups, a few crunches every now and then he would get back up and probably walk by a number of businesses, including Morris's shop and the diner that Angie works in the daytime. But he would just be on his way over to the bar to just sort of take care of everything. And in fact, he'll actually take up the morning paper and kind of read over, see if there have been any dead in the war. And do I actually notice any names from those who have went missing? Have any of them reported?
No, the three names of the gentlemen from the town do not seem to be listed. Which lifts, of course, there's as long as the names aren't listed right, there is always that hope that they are here somewhere, somehow. But it is, as you're kind of opening up your bar, you notice something. There he is. That strange fella from the dump is actually still in town where you had kicked him out just hours before, because all of you were up together late last night in the bar. You guys all seem to frequent this place, whether you're there for your own personal reasons or you're working hard. All of you were in the bar last night. And, I don't remember his name. What was his name? Celts? Your character's actual name?
Merle. It was Merle.
Merle is, you're passed out and come to the sound of keys jingling just next to you. This means the bar is opening up again, even though it's the morning. Doors are open, and you kind of shake to and stare into the face of Joseph, the bar owner.
Are you dropping something off? Where?
No, I get up every morning to take. Have you been here all night?
Did you need me to pick something up? That's what it was. Yeah. What did you need me to take for you? What? So. Right.
Merle, come on, buddy. Let's get up. Come on. And I'm gonna like go down and try and reach him up. Come on, get up.
You remember a strange conversation that was had last night. You know that Merle came kind of busting through the door late in the evening, passionate about the fact that he had found strange military-grade junk in his junkyard, and he doesn't know where it came from. He babbled all night about his conspiracy theories.
God, yeah. All right, Merle, you gotta stop busting in my bar, man.
You gonna come out and check this stuff out with me? We're gonna go out.
Let's get some coffee. Yeah, I'm sure, buddy. I'm sure. Yep.
It's really good, Joe. Really good.
Let's get coffee in you. Okay, and then I'll go see it. I'll go see it. I promise.
Okay.
You need to sober up first. Even though you sleep, it can still weigh in. It's still in the bloodstream. That's how that works.
So in this moment, no, I wanted to give you both an aspect because I need to give Angie one as well. So actually, Joseph, yours is going to be, I care for my friends. And I think this applies to both a woman that works for you and this kind of crazy gentleman you're currently trying to help. Your deep passion drives that aspect for you, and you guys we'll get more aspects. You're all going to end up with 3 by the end of the game.
All right.
And tell me, what brought you to this town, Merle? How did you end up here?
My daddy and my granddaddy, they brought me here. They showed me how to use the welder. They showed me how to strip down things people don't want anymore and put them back together in ways that make people happier. So you make things look pretty, make things work better. And then there's some stuff we can't do anything with, and we have to bury that. So,
right.
They show me how to dig. I dig and I strip things down, and so yeah.
Okay.
And they're
So
not
we're
here
gonna
anymore,
say-
so it's just me now.
It's just you. Okay, so and you've taken over the family business of maintaining the kind of dump and junkyard. We're gonna say
Right.
your first aspect is welding the world together. With all of your conspiracy theories and things, you are constantly trying to piece the truth out of the world. And who does not have their first aspect? I feel like it was just Angie, right? That I'm missing. Angie, you feel all the eyes on you as the town is beginning to kind of bustle. And it rages in you, something does. It kind of makes you angry. And I'm guessing your troubled aspect has to do with your temper a little bit, correct?
Yeah, I tend to have anger management issues.
Yeah. In the past, who have you confided most in this town, especially during your hardest time with your husband missing?
I think I talked to Joseph quite a bit. He gave me some extra hours after Tony left, and to help out a little bit, because we send money to Tony's parents to help them out too. So I think in the late hours cleaning up after the bar, usually that's when Angie would kind of break down that facade of being super duper strong.
Yeah.
And kind of let it out. Also, having lost her temper and there's a number of broken glasses and things as explanation for that to keep her job.
Yeah, to help him understand. Absolutely. So let's say what do we want it to be? Here's a good aspect. Let's say Joseph calms me down. So in those moments, because of your connection with Joseph, he has a way of helping you and connecting with you. Your connection with him is very deep, paternal, but deep, and he can help you in those angry times. Basically, he can get through to you. So we'll see how those aspects play out. Now, for the audience, in Fate, everything is based around what we call aspects. These are usually phrases or pieces of the game that we can compel or use to tell better story and create interesting and dramatic moments. So the good news is all of you have what we call game aspects. These are the things that are taking place and going on across this game we're about to play that you can compel at any point. Ideally, you can use a fate point. Each of them have 3 of these fate points to play or compel a game aspect for your benefit. So the 3 aspects we have currently going on that are on the table for the rest of the game include something is amiss in Kensington. The military is present. We all know this. And last but not least, Tony is assumed missing and dead. All right? Now, we also have situational aspects, which we'll get to once we actually begin getting into situations. But each of you also have character aspects. Now, you can, at any point, use a fate point to invoke your aspects, or to compel your aspects and use them to your benefit. I can also invoke things against your aspects and make things difficult for you, specifically your troubled aspect, which you haven't shared with us yet. That's where the drama comes in. So, as you all go about your morning, and you now have an aspect to build into the skills and the high concept that you already have, something begins to happen. The ground beneath you begins to shake. It's probably not the first time you've had an earthquake here. They travel down the fault line, and it's not necessarily new if you've ever lived in California or on the West Coast. But as the ground begins to shake and rumble, it's something much bigger. Right? The ground down the center of town, the main street, cracks open, tearing things apart. A woman down the road begins screaming. Dishes are falling inside of the bar. The general store, the gentleman who owns the general store, Mr. Hicks, comes out and peers out, holding onto the door frame, yells, "What is going on?" And before he can get the phrase out of his mouth, just off on the horizon line, there's an explosion. Not a bomb per se, it feels more like a transformer exploded in the dump. You know it in your heart of hearts to be the dump where something just exploded open. And it begins to smoke And after the explosion has settled, all you see is this giant stream of smoke coming from that single location as if a beacon. And all of you stand in the middle of town, cars ruined after the quake has kind of finished, and the town falls silent.
I look over to Morris, and Merle, and I'm gonna be like, all right, so Merle, sorry. What did you say you found again?
I don't know what it was, Joe. It was not normal junk. It was something new. I don't know. That's what that was, but I need to go. You're gonna come with me to see what that was?
Yeah, now I am.
Okay, hold on. Merle's gonna go get his small chief, which is a little moped that he's put together out of junk, and just start kind of trucking home.
I imagine you like piece it together out of like a lawnmower engine or something, and you have to like pull the you like piece it together out of junk and parts, and you finally like get the moped going, and it's like sputtering. You can probably run next to it.
Sizes.
Yeah, the wheels. And he's like, and the ground now in the middle of town, this main thoroughfare street is kind of ripped apart. Now, of course, for James, this is a story, so you've got to follow the lead. Something is definitely going on, and as as you begin to head off, and you guys hear the putter of the moped through the center of town, you watch as a black Buick. Tinted windows, jet black in nature, no tag, pulls out of an alleyway where it has been sitting all night long, squeals into the main thoroughfare, and brisk right past the moped, headed straight for the dump.
Ooh. I gotta go find. Am I still talking to? Am I still at the garage, or am I?
Yeah. You and Morris kind of went through the earthquake together.
Yeah.
Morris, we gotta get in the vehicle.
Morris,
We gotta get out of here.
Yep. Morris grabs his big pocking wrench and heads out.
Yes.
How far out of town is the dump?
Not very far. By car, it's like 2 minutes, so it may take you guys about 15 minutes or so on foot. If you're running, it'll take you half that time. So it's still going to take you a couple minutes because you got to like run out. But there are also cars in towns and stuff. Yeah.
So are our businesses kind of like across the street from each other?
Yeah, absolutely. The picture that I put in, that I'm using kind of as a backdrop, is very similar to what I imagine. It's just like one major strip of town, and shops are just across the street from each other. But at this point, glass lays everywhere. Some of the cars are actually in holes in the ground, like sinkholes and stuff.
Okay.
Oh,
What
hell.
is that? What happened? It came from the dump. Let's head that way.
On that way, I'm gonna like stop Morris so we can get in the car with him. I'm just gonna get Merle and be like, "We're getting in the car. I'm literally walking next to you on this thing that you made."
But I gotta get this one too. There's things
It'll
I
be
need
fine.
in there.
He's like,
Yeah, exactly. I'm literally just walking right next to him. They'll be fine. They'll be fine. Just leave them here.
I'm gonna grab some random things out of like the little compartment in the back that I've built, and kind of just like hold them and kind of like and get in the car with them.
Okay. Yeah, you hop in. You guys see Angie, you were kind of going through this as you were pouring coffee and cleaning windows and stuff, and you see all of them, gentlemen you know very well, in fact, because of course you serve them both for lunch and their after dinner festivities often, hop into the car and head that direction. But what catches your eye is the black vehicle, in fact, because you know that these men are military.
Seeing the military vehicle, it went ahead of them, like it took off before they did?
Yeah, it took off down the road ahead of them.
I think Angie would yell back into the kitchen, "Drew, I need to take my break early." And all right.
He says, "You just got here." He says, And he yells, he says, wait! And the door like slams. I hear the bell on this cute little quaint town.
And she's
diner
already
door.
got her bike. Like, she's already grabbed her bike with her basket, and she
I love it.
hops on and just starts. Instead of taking the road, she kind of pedals down like a side street because she knows the back alleyway to get kind of out and around the corner to kind of go off the road riding her bike, trying to see where they're going.
Did you take, I'm just interested. I guess you don't really have an opposition at this point, so I won't make you roll for anything, but I'm guessing you bike well and you know this path pretty well?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, I bike everywhere. I don't have a car. I don't drive myself anywhere.
I love that. So yeah, you take off that direction. You know it pretty well. Hopping through backyards, down side streets, through the residential area to actually make it the exact same time all the gentlemen do. Whose car were we in, or was it a truck? What was the?
It's my tow truck.
It's your tow truck.
Yeah.
You guys. That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah,
You pull up and. Both the tow truck and the bike almost squeal to a halt at the entrance of your dump there, Merle. Because you see a few things. There is definitely something on fire, or has been on fire from the explosion, deep inside of the junkyard, which you can't quite tell where it's originating from because of the, mounds of junk, okay? Just mounds and mounds of stuff. The black car there's nobody in it. They have already kind of exited it, and they are blocking the entrance with it. They kind of pulls it in sideways so you can't get your tow truck or bike in there at the moment.
It's just a car, and I have a tow truck.
You are welcome to, you want to barrel through it? You can barrel through the black Buick.
No, wait,
Yep.
wait. They're dropping this off here. And Merle's going to jump out and start seeing if he can pry hubcaps off. This is an abandoned property that at my place. So this is what people do. They bring things they don't want here. So, and he's going to just get the hubcap popped off.
Yeah.
Hood ornament.
Why don't you do me
I'm
a
just
favor?
going to start.
You scavenge it. You go. And what do you want to take off of the hubcaps and what else?
If there's any kind of hood ornament or any kind of decorative stuff, I want to just kind of start taking it off the vehicle already. Maybe not all the hubcaps, but maybe just a couple of them. I have stuff I want to do with these.
Do you have a well, I guess you don't really see it as burglary, do you? But that's really what it is. Do you have the burglary skill?
I do not.
Why don't you go ahead and add it to your skill pyramid? Which is the way skills work in Fate. They're kind of on a pyramid system. You should already have your good and your great and your good filled in. So you should have some fair, you can kind of put it in that pyramid wherever you like, but it might be good for you to take because I'd like for you to make a roll. You guys see him hop out and he goes over to this car, which, like I said, Angie, something in your gut, as well as yours, Morris, being a military man, you know that they are connected to the military. There's a CB radio on the inside of the car as you just kind of peek your head in, you can see it regularly. And the way that the tag is really where there is no tag, lets you know that this is probably very top secret, maybe CIA, FBI. You're not quite sure. So here's going to be our first roll. So what I want you to do, the way Fate works, is we roll, like I said, Fate die. And I'm going to have you roll 4 Fate die for me. So let's go ahead and have you do that, Merle. It's going to give us a number. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So -3. Take whatever the modifier is on your skill for burglary.
So that's a +2, so -1.
So the,
Okay, so
the
negative
first
1.
roll was correct.
Okay, great. So it's considered a poor burglary, but here's the thing. It's not that you don't get what you're looking for. You just don't do it very subtly. And so you walk up and rip the hood ornament from it. Gets a chunk of the hood comes with it. You pop a couple of the hubcaps off, but only using a knife and actually putting a hole in one of the tires. And you are able to scavenge what it is that you want from it. Even the CB radio probably has some kind of value. And as you're going through this, it's actually something that falls at your feet out of the car. It's a file that has nothing labeled on it, but it does hit your feet.
This is mine too. this is mine too, and I'm going to pick up the file. But like kind of awkwardly, like with things, like
yeah,
trying
you've
to
got too
open
much
the
stuff
file,
now,
but I've
and
got
as you
like
do it,
hubcaps and stuff. So
paper spill everywhere. Angie, you cannot help but see the piece of paper that has your husband's face on it.
I scramble over my bike, kind of falling down against the side of the tow truck, and I scoop up the paper.
You scoop it up, and it seems to be kind of a dossier on him. It gives information about him. It mentions you as his wife, and it has some kind of like, I wouldn't say coded, but definitely uses like a military type language at the bottom that talks about a project that he was a part of, a medical project, in fact. And he was, there's a big green stamp that says approved.
I look at the paper. I look around to see if I see any of these suited gentlemen anywhere in my sightline.
No, not in your sightline.
I start marching forward with this serious look into the, like, past the car, looking for them. Like my face just goes like slack, like pissed off.
Yeah. Okay. Well, because they are very, very stealthy. I'm also going to have you make a roll because they're not going to want you to find them. So we're actually going to do that as a, let's see, what would that be? That's a notice. If you haven't taken the notice skill, you're welcome to do so, even if you want to take it as a low skill, and roll that notice for me. This is going to be a difficulty level, in this case, of pretty good. I mean, they're military like trained. So this is a +3. You need to make a +3 against their deception of hiding.
Okay.
So you'll roll your 4 fate die. It'll total it up, and then you can add whatever your skill modifier is to that. Hey!
I got looks like a 3.
A 3 plus, so you automatically get it even without your additional.
Well, I added it in. Nope.
You did add it in.
So
Okay, +2.
yep.
So you matched it. So you don't see them. You know what these suits look like. All of you know what the suits look like. And you begin to get that eerie feeling in your gut because it is very, very quiet. The police sirens off in the distance back in town dealing with the collateral damage of what has happened is about all you hear. But Angie, your thorough senses and your just aggression and passion for this moment, you see their footprints, and they do lead straight into towards the kind of burning area here inside of the trash dump. They don't look to have covered their tracks very well.
Okay, so yeah, Angie's just like mom walking, angry faced. The paper is in her, she's got her apron on from the diner. She slid it into the pocket and not saying a word to any of the men, just walking past.
Angie,
what are you gentlemen up
wait,
to?
Angie, you can't just run back in there. Hold on a minute. And I'm going to kind of run over and drop off my stuff and then try to scramble after her.
You guys watch as he tosses it on a pile. It makes probably a ton of noise because it's hubcaps and there's probably other metal things around. He bloops it into a pile. Tell us about your dump.
So
what does it look like?
What I like to do is I like to strip down, broken appliances and things and make little yard people with them. So there's a lot of creepy, probably very poorly done metallic sculptures all over the place with one of an old Airstream trailer that I live in. And then I have piles of parts of things that I'm going to use, things that I'm not sure what they are, things that are possibly useful later on, and then I have trash.
Yeah.
So
I literally just
I'm kind of the only one that can differentiate which pile is which, but it just looks like probably everyone else just looks like piles of trash everywhere. But I do have.
But you got them very clearly, systematically organized.
Right.
Yeah. As only a good junkyard owner does. And this is a family business, so what I'm guessing the sign above it says, is it Merle's
It's
Merle's
Lynn's.
dump? What does it say?
Lynn's used to be's is what it says up above it.
Lynn's used to be's. How quaint. And as are you going to follow her? I'm guessing you're not really stopping, right, Angie?
Yeah, no, I'm assuming I'm having to try to like make up time to catch up to her because I don't want her messing up any of the stuff that I've got already. I don't want her to get hurt.
Right. So you trail after her. The other three of you guys see this happen. They begin to delve deeper into the junkyard.
Oh, yep. Know that face. Gotta go. Gotta make sure she doesn't punch anybody. Be right back.
Yep. yeah, guys. And you know, I'm actually going to add our first situational aspect. We've arrived at a new location. This place is full of junk. So I'm going to quick save this and upload it again with a new situational aspect. So I would say the situational, there's actually probably two here. The first one is this place is full of junk, which can be used to your advantage as long as you can tell me how and why. And you can invoke one of these situational aspects by giving me a fate point. And then let's see, it's full of junk. No, I think that's the only one we've got right now. I'll add another one. In addition, you can add one. Oh yeah, things are burning. That seems like a really good. That's actually, yep. Things are on fire. That seems like a really important thing to note. That's actually a good one. Yeah. And great. And that's the other cool thing about Fate is you guys can actually help define these as well. This is not really just for me to do. So if we get into a situation, and I'm talking because I like to do that. And I mentioned something, and you think that it could be used to your benefit in the far future, then please let me know because we will want to use that, and you can we'll add it to the list. So let me just quickly update this, and we'll be all set to go here. So two new aspects there for all of us to see, and that'll be coming on the screen here in a second.
To quickly catch up to Angie because he knows exactly where the pile of stuff that can catch on fire is. So I'm going to beeline just straight to that pile of stuff that I know is flammable because I've separated a pile of flammable.
The oily rags.
Right.
Yeah, just a pile of oily rags.
Some things need to be lit on fire, so I separate those two.
Kerosene.
All right, that's good. My vMix calls being weird. Okay, there it goes. Okay, there. Okay, it's better now. It's caught up. So you guys head deeper in. Now, the other three of you, have you actually entered the dump to follow them? Is that the plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going right in. Get it. Come on, Merle. We gotta get in there.
You guys trail behind, not in a stealthy way, just trail right on in. And yeah. And then you round a corner and you round a corner and you can't miss it. Something has exploded from under the ground. Something, Merle, that you didn't even know was here. And you thought you knew everything that was in your junkyard. It looks to be that a pile of junk has kind of exploded outwards. That it was stacked on top of something. Looks to be maybe I'm not sure if it's an air conditioner unit or some kind of appliance. Maybe it was a secret doorway to something, but it exploded outwards from the bottom of this hidden pile. And it does seem to be some kind of door or entryway attached to it, this above ground kind of metal entryway to potentially a bunker. And it burns, the entrance of it burns, but there's no sign of the men in the suits.
So firstly, Merle's probably gonna, Angie, what did you do? These don't belong here, and he's gonna start picking up things that were cast away from the explosion, and trying to kind of make sense of what's happened. He's probably gonna be the last one to notice that. Well, these things weren't supposed to. What happened? What?
Merle, the giant hole in the ground probably did it.
What holes? We don't have holes here.
This one, come on. I'll show you. It's near where everything else is on fire. Come on.
That's not mine.
With a fire extinguisher.
I've never seen that before.
I sincerely hope it's not.
Fire extinguisher.
I don't even know where to put
It's like
something like that.
things
I don't know
around
what
you are
that is.
a blaze. It's like there's like fires everywhere and touching. Like some of the pieces that exploded outwards are like burning, kind of simmering out on their own. As you ask if there's a fire extinguisher.
That's a really good situational aspect. Is there one?
I head
Yeah.
back to my tow truck and get the fire extinguisher out of the tow truck.
You run and you kind of, you make it just in time and kind of oust the entryway, which is now kind of decrepit, definitely burned, but it is heavy-duty military grade. Almost looks like a basement door, or like I said, a bunker door that you could go into. And you managed to out the fire in just that area. If you wanted to go on in, it looks like you could, though the entryway down seems to be very smoky, as if there's fire permeating or something warm is permeating from inside as well.
Do I find a rag nearby in the junk?
Oh, I'm
maybe
sure.
somewhere.
I can't promise it'll be clean.
Okay, then I'm gonna take the rag and grab the handle.
Good call.
Is it warm?
Yes, it's very warm.
Okay.
But from what you can tell, it's also kind of broken off, so you can assume it's probably warm because the explosion came from inside of this place.
Oh, you got your wrench, Morris? Got that wrench on?
So, always.
Yeah. Gotta pry open this door.
Is the door open or closed?
It seems to be like on the hinges. There's like a military grade like magnet lock that's holding it on, but the explosion from the inside has like warped it. So, it's like warped at corners. Some of the hinges have blown off, but it's still connected in its door frame.
So there's a space somewhere where I can put in a wrench and try
to give it Yep.
bend it open.
So this is going to be an opposition roll because, of course, the door has a lock on it. So I'm going to ask you to roll a physique. If you haven't taken physique, you might want to add it to your skills. And you'll roll that physique for me. And I would say this door, it is already very much loosened at the hinge side. So I'd say you really only need like this is probably a +2.
Okay.
All right.
To 5.
Looky at that. Woo! Yeah, like a champ. You walk over and it doesn't take a whole lot, and you bring that wrench down and
There you
just
go,
pop
buddy.
it right off. Makes a big noise as the door actually from the hinges. Dust from the New Mexico desert poofs at your feet. And you hear nothing from inside this place, but the smoke billowing out lets you know that there's either a fire on the inside or it started in this location at least.
Angie is pacing around this area while he's opening it, and I'm looking for these men, and I'm like, where in the blazes are they? And I'm start
do you want to
waving
do
the
like a really?
paper.
I was about to say, want to do a really thorough investigation. You're more than welcome to. If you want to really actually try to find them.
I took investigate, so I've got an.
Did you?
Yeah, so
that
did
makes
I.
sense. You're really good at this finding people, especially for your journalistic needs.
We got to get in there. We got to cover the story. We got to find out what's going on inside here. I am fully deputizing y'all as members of the media. I do not have tags for you, but we are going to have to get in there and find out what in the heck is going on. It's all on fire, and we got to get in there. It's smoky, so we got to do. What we got to do is you got to pull your pocket square here, and you got to put this in front of your face. You got to do that. This, in the movies, this fixes everything, by the way.
Right. Yeah, that solves everything. So he pulls his. Most of you may have bandanas. Yeah, you could use your shirt. You might have a pocket handkerchief or something, Angie. But you guys will want to cover your face. Nice. Yes, your apron. I love that. That's so perfect.
Oh yeah.
So you rolled a 2 on your investigate. That's actually pretty good. There are a few things that you kind of denote when you investigate this area as you hear him, kind of take the door down with this wrench. The footsteps lead direct to this door and stop. And they don't go anywhere else. The second thing you note is the smell. the smelly smell of burning chemicals. You yourself are not a scientist, but you've covered the science fair at the school. And you know what burning chemicals smell like. Especially those kids that never get it quite right, you know, the lava, or the volcano project gone awry. Something smells, and it doesn't, not necessarily poisonous, but definitely the smell of burning chemicals below ground here. And you are right, your instincts are correct. You cover your mouth, and your team that you're with seems to follow in suit. Do you guys head down into the space?
Right, we got some fumes here, folks. So deploy your handkerchiefs here, and now the stairs stop. What is? How does that mean?
The footsteps stop. No. So the footsteps of the men in suits stops. The footprints. Thank you. Sorry. The stairs lead down, straight down, into what seems to be darkness. Now hazy darkness, thanks to the smoke.
Flashlight.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
With the weird metal people on the surface and going down a long dark stairs.
Yeah, I love it. So we're gonna actually change our aspect. It's not so junky now. It's actually, as you go down with your flashlight, you know, it hits kind of the smoke in the air and makes it brighter, but still like kind of difficult to see. But the walls seem to be this metal, very sterilized metal. Everything's kind of clean. It juxtaposes the world above it. And instead of being junky, it's just very, very dark and smoky. I'm going to put both of those and kind of quick change that aspect.
So this is like a building rather than dug into the earth.
Yeah, it looks like you're going into some kind of facility almost. And as you guys make your way down the stairs, which doesn't, you know, again, you're humans, you don't have to roll to climb stairs. You get to the bottom, and you kind of bring the flashlight around, and you don't see a whole lot, except for a few glass panes that seem to lead into other rooms. It feels almost like a hospital. The floors, like linoleum. The walls, like I said, seem to be like either ceramic in certain places, like tiled, or like metal, and it's very clean. Yeah, it's very, very clean. The kind of plexiglass that separates these rooms still seems to be in place, though it is cracked in certain areas. And as you bring your flashlight around, you stop on the figure of a person, like slouched against a wall. And they spatter up blood you see in silhouette, and you can hear it splash against the wall across from them. They seem to be alive, but barely.
This is a bug hunt. Told you.
Joe, huh? Joe.
What's a bug?
Just
no.
Do I recognize the person on the floor?
Would you like to approach them?
No, do I recognize the person?
You can't tell from your angle. They're kind of they're almost like backlit, from another doorway. So you can put your flashlight on them, but you're a little far.
Right, I'll walk a bit closer, but not too close, because they're coughing up blood. And then... if I can recognize them.
Yeah, so you kind of slowly walk up, and you change your angle. Really is all you needed to do. You just had to kind of rotate your flashlight around to catch their face, and it is a man in a black suit. He seems to have been stabbed through the chest with something very large and sharp. He's missing a whole portion of the interior of his chest, and he is coughing up blood in his last few seconds, probably.
I am going to go up to him and ask him what did this.
He looks up at you. The sunglasses he was wearing are like cracked along the screen. And he reaches out with his bloody hand, shaking, and grabs you by the collar and pulls you close. Blood drips down his face, and he says, "We didn't know they would change." And he just like coughs and dies in your arms. As he says those words, "We did not know that they would change."
This has something to do with that
What did you
crazy
say?
shit that happened in Roswell 5 years ago. I swear to God.
Oh my god. Well, now maybe he said
Oh, yeah.
that we
How
didn't
far
know
is
they would
Roswell
make
from here?
change.
I'm sorry, what was that? I got a question and a comment out
Sorry.
of that. What were you saying, James?
Go ahead.
Just saying, maybe they said they would make. They didn't know they would make change. Might not be that bad. Go ahead.
I picture you said that in your best radio announcer voice out loud. And Morris, what were you? You had a question.
How far is Roswell from here?
Roswell's in Arizona, right?
Okay.
So,
Is it?
it's
No,
a
it's New
bit
Mexico.
of. Oh, it
New
is in New
Mexico.
Mexico. You're right, Roswell. Yeah, you're right. I would say, in this case, it can't be too terribly far. But again, at this point, Roswell is whispered in American society. It's kind of this like almost boogeyman type place where, for people living out in New Mexico, it's easy to believe because you can understand how you could actually hide a government facility in the middle of freaking nowhere. And as you begin to say this, right, you get that gut
Not
feeling
wrong.
that you may be right, right? It's like it's not hard to in New Mexico, but you get that gut feeling that this could be one of those type situations with the war going on. The military, and you know this specifically, Morris, being a military man yourself, likes to hold its secrets. And if it is doing any kind of new testing, it needs to be done in a very secure and private location. You came here almost 25 years ago, and you have never heard how Kensington got started. Who started it? How long it's been here? There aren't really any documents or records on the town.
You guys,
Well, since when
this
has
is
been
this is
here?
my place
Have you ever
above?
been down
Does it
here?
mean it's my place below here too? Is this mine too? Does anyone know?
Well, if you
Because
don't
I
know
own-
it,
That's mine up there. So can I have? Is this mine down here too?
it's your
you should
land,
get-
I guess.
Do I own what's below the land? Because we're below my land.
Well, technically they're squatting, unless you got a piece of paper.
Technically, they're squatting. I have to know, Celts, what did you take as your troubled aspect for your character?
Awkward.
Awkward. I'd like to add a new aspect to you. This aspect, I think, should be everything belongs to me.
Okay.
Which is this idea that you think that pretty much everything that's on your property and near and around your property, or that's left outside the gates of your property, in fact, belongs to you. And I'm going to use it at this moment to make some things complicated for you. Now, you can choose to accept, and if you do, you're going to gain a fate point, but it may make some things difficult or put you in an awkward situation. The urge to claim this place as your own begins to take over, and you feel compelled to invoke that aspect of everything belongs to me, and you begin picking things up and taking them. And as you do, you notice that you definitely are in a medical facility. Nothing seems to be burning in the place that you're in, but it does look like maybe an explosion happened. The floor seems scorched and those kind of things, but you begin to pick up anything that you can find. And there's all kinds of crap here. It's all over the place, all over the floor. There's medical stuff. There's clipboards. There's interesting, weird, strange equipment you've never seen before.
I'm
Any
okay with
guns?
that.
All right, so you begin taking some things from this place. So go ahead and take a fate point, and you get this. Something reaches out while you're taking stuff and grabs you around the ankle. You don't see what it is. You just feel the tight grip of somebody as it grabs your ankle
What is that?
in the darkness.
This
You
is
pull
mine.
away,
We've already discussed it.
and you see, as you pull your foot kind of away, it drags something from underneath. Also, a dying human? You're not really sure. Maybe it's because half of his flesh has been melted away by an explosion. He does seem to be wearing camo or army fatigues of some kind, or might have been. But most of what remains of this person is only the upper half. It is alive and grabs at you. And it says, "Let us out! It screams at you.
So the biggest item I've collected, I'm gonna just throw down on it and try to kick my leg free.
We'll say that you picked up like a defibrillator or something, like the ones that are on the wall. You kind of like stuff. You like
Oh, they
drop
wants to kill him,
this
not bring him back to
piece
life.
of- no, you pick
The irony. It's like getting hit by an ambulance.
You need another fire extinguisher. Get another fire extinguisher. And get it with this.
I don't think Merle would know how to properly use any of this anyway, so it's almost just like
you have no idea what this piece of
primitive-
kills him with the irony of this situation. So you throw down this piece of medical equipment, and it smashes him in the face, and he immediately, like, his skull crushes in, and he goes and stops moving. But he still has his dog tags around his neck, which is what you notice, Morris, being a military man.
Ooh.
Or you ever seen anything like that?
I don't have everything.
I'll have a look at the dog tags.
You go and take a look at the dog tags. The name rings true to you. This is your son's friend, the one he shipped out with.
Oh my.
Whoa. Okay.
I'm sorry, Morris. I'm sorry. There's only half of him, and he's grabbing me. He was grabbing
That
me.
is market. No. So it's just half a person?
Yeah, the lower half of the body from about the hip joint down is missing. They were definitely moving, as you saw when they grabbed. The skin has kind of been like burned away. It is crispy and bubbly and boiling. Actually, does anybody here have any background in, there's gotta be like a medicine option or any kind of medical anything. I would say you probably could take some if you wanted to, more as having been in the military. They give you like bare minimum. I would also take just a general okay, yeah, I would take also a general investigate on this situation to gain more information if somebody wants to roll for the group.
I can do an investigation.
Right,
Yep.
why don't you give it a go? You got
All right,
those.
now,
You know those points.
Meanwhile, Morris leans against the wall and has a good swig from his hip flask. After this talk.
Yeah, you have that deep swig. You know this boy.
Oh. Sorry, Morris.
You know his mama and
Not-
his
not
family.
good.
And so they shipped out at the same. He shipped out at the same time as my son and Tony.
Correct. You dropped him off at the bus station.
And why is he now here?
Well, half of him anyway.
And you rolled that investigate. Yep. What did we get on that? What's our number?
How many do I roll?
So it's always 4. 4D, 4 fate die plus whatever your modifier is on your investigate skill.
Right, so I took investigate as my great.
Great. So you're
Right.
going to add a 4 to that. And what you want to do is you can right click on your 3D die in the fantasy grounds. There you go. Yep. So that's good. So you got a 1, an average. You are not a trained doctor, right? But your gut instinct tells you obviously a man that is cut in half should not be moving about.
No.
But as you begin to investigate him, but this is not the first time you've been on a crime scene. There are the occasional domestic problems that happen in town that end up on the bad side of things. And you've talked to CSI before, and you start to look at his fingers, like in his hands, and you're kind of investigating the upper part of his body. His fingernails are made of steel, metal, as if they could slice right through your throat like a blade, as if he's been augmented in some way. You've never seen such a thing.
It's the communists.
It's commies. It's clearly a commie plot to
right, of course.
turn our good young man into some sort of creature, some sort of steel-fingered half-man thing. Not sure, but who knows what goes on in the mind of the Red Menace?
Now we're just Stalin.
The
So
Menace.
They're clearly capable of anything, willing to stop at nothing to pervert human nature and to create some hellish spawn. And they've been squatting on your land, by the way, Merle, and that ain't legal either. So we got a big story here. Keep an eye out for some letterhead or something with their address on it. We gotta tell the authorities. We gotta bust these guys. Several
Should we go
civil.
and get the police?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I think start with the police, but you know we're not done looking around in here. I'm seeing at least 3 or 4 civil violations, much less turning people into monsters. So.
Well, it seems that James has found his next story. It's so brilliant. And you kind of continue to search the room. This seems to be the only body in here, but you notice that the rear wall has actually exploded inwards. Kind of the one parallel or across from the kind of plexiglass one. It must be where this person probably came from. It looks to be even that he might have been thrown through the wall, and is the reason that there's a hole in it. Bricks kind of lay about everywhere, broken ceramic tile, and yeah, this hole seems to lead deeper into this underground medical facility.
I'm going to head that way, so through the breach in the wall.
You pass through, yeah. I heard hesitancy from somebody, so I'm like, okay, good.
Yeah, that was me. Wait, don't just go running in there. That's literally what I'm doing.
And you reach out. Morris does cross the threshold because you have the flashlight. This part of the room is particularly smoky, and it does seem like even when you turn around and like look at the exterior of the hole that was put through the wall. Oh no! What? My cell phone's ringing. Hang on a second. My alarm's going off. I know. I don't know what that's about. Hang on.
The police are on their way. Quick.
That was fast.
So what's our story?
The
with
rotary
defibrillator
phone's
on the
going
guy's
off.
head?
We gotta find that phone.
Everyone
Anybody else hear that
pretend
rotary
like-
phone?
Actually, you know, we're gonna use that to our advantage. So that's actually my normal alarm to get me up so I can go teach children. But today's Labor Day, so I don't actually have to go to work. Instead of gaming.
Hey.
Yeah, it literally was my alarm. So you guys actually hear this happen. As you're kind of like looking around, you notice that it's all scorched around it. And as you turn and flash the flashlight across the 4 of your friends standing there, you jump to the sound of a phone. Ring, ring.
I go
I
and
head
try and
towards
phone.
the sound.
You try to kind of locate the sound. You follow your ears. Do all of you go with him? Because as he walks deeper into the room, he kind of disappears into the thick smoke in the air.
Yeah, I'm right on his tail.
Okay.
Gotta get in.
All right, cool. So you guys kind of
Stay
all, stay together. You guys kind of huddle together because there's also, like I said, not a lot of light. And the phone you come across is a red phone. Rotary dial phones are supposed to have a rotary dial. This one does not. It has a single red light that is blinking.
Mm-hmm.
Do you answer? It still rings.
Calls the
yeah,
president.
I'll
Yeah, you pick it up.
I read the.
I've read about this.
Tell him it's Lynn's used to be's. Tell him it's Lynn's used to be's. Tell him it's
Hello?
Lynn's used to be's. Tell him.
I'll hand you the receiver.
Lynn's used to be's. This is Lynn.
Boy.
Who
This
is
is
this?
Aylin.
This is
This
a
is
secure
Merle.
line for the president of
this
the
is
United
Merle.
States.
No, this is you. This is Lynn's used to be's.
Oh boy.
This is the president of the United States of America.
I've read about this.
No. What are you doing calling Lynn's used to be's?
What are you doing in a top secret government facility?
No, this is mine. Everyone here said this is mine.
Oh no!
This is mine.
Who are you talking to,
Soldier.
Merle?
He says it's the
Merle.
president of the United States. He says it's the
Okay.
president of the United States. And I
I'm
hand the phone
gonna
to
try
Joe.
and take the. Yeah, and I'm gonna looks around.
Okay.
It gives it to the journalist.
You guys are basically passing this, rotary dial phone around. It ends up
Jonah's the
in
one talk to it.
hands.
At that moment, as soon as he gets it, he takes out his flask and takes a swig. This is too much for him right now.
You still hear the quaint voice of the president on the other end as you take the receiver, James. He goes, "Soldier, report. What is going on? Soldier?"
Mr. President, situation here at the base is currently FUBAR. We are looking at a code red. We have got half men with metal nails. We have got significant property damage. We have got smoke and fire. This is representing a danger to the population of the nearby town of Kensington. Please advise. Do you copy? Come on.
President says, "I copy, soldier." Have the experiments been have the experiments been captured? Did they exit the facility?
I'm gonna take a big deep breath and make eye contact with everybody in the room. No, sir. They appear to be here. I have seen some. I think we have one breach. But we are gonna need to get some control down here because I'm concerned members of the media, could be inbound at any time. So you may want to.
He says, "Soldier, is Dr. Moore present? You are babbling. Let me speak to Dr. Moore."
We've got a gas leak, significant gas leak down here, so I may not be making too much sense. I have not laid eyes on Dr. Moore. He may have been torn apart as well. We do not have a sit rep or eyes on Dr. Moore.
He goes, "Are you reporting that Dr. Moore is dead?"
I cannot confirm such at this time, but he is definitely not present. It's bad, sir. It's bad. Not as bad as it gets short of me being dead. So,
you hear him kind of pull the phone away from his head, and he says to somebody that he is with, "Send in the troops. The facility has been compromised. Soldier, you are to stay there with your team until we arrive. Do not let anyone enter or exit the facility until the boys in blue get there."
okay. I'm gonna put the phone against my chest and be like, "This is President. This is going really well." That sounds good, sir. No, he doesn't need a tow. So here's the thing. So when they get here, we are to, basically, what was the point of this, Oh gosh, I'm bad at this. God, I'm starstruck, guys. It's the president. I'm
He
freaking
goes,
out.
"Soldier, please find any that are still alive and make sure the experiments do not escape." Click. Oh, he says over and out.
Okay. All right. He hung up. Everybody can relax. Well, that was an
How'd
honor.
it go, Stars and Stripes?
Wow. Guys, I have to tell you, I have never been more proud to be an American. He sounded great. Okay.
I can't wait to tell
what's the
president called
52?
my house. The president called
It's a
my
rare
house.
It's a rare honor. Usually somebody has to be kidnapped for that to happen. All right. So, basically, there are soldiers inbound. So we have some relief headed this direction. Something about a Dr. Morris and something about experiments that he did not want to get out.
What's the name
If
ring a
they're
bell?
no, I do not know a Dr. Morris. Myself.
If I take the paper out that I've pulled out and I grab Morris's flashlight and kind of look at it, is there any names on that?
It is signed at the bottom and approved by a Dr. Rupert Moore.
Or
Morris, I'm sorry.
Morris.
I turn it to James and I hold it out and I tap the bottom of the sheet and I hand it to you.
Well, we have corroborating evidence then. I call that a connection.
That seems
You're an
to be the
expert
first
journalist, young lady.
I look. I sort of smile and then I look at Merle, and I say, Merle, could I please look at your folder full of other papers that you picked up out of the car that was on your property?
Here. And I hand her
Okay,
the
thank
folder.
you.
Don't
And
lose
I
those.
flip. I turn it and I hand that to you as well, James. I
So
said,
yeah,
"This
some
fell
of
out
the
of that."
papers seem to have. Some of the papers seem to have been lost, but now that you're thoroughly going through it, you see that the boy that was at your feet earlier, very kind of fresh-faced, baby-faced, probably couldn't be more than about 17 or 18, is there. He too was approved, as was your son, Morris.
Oof.
So
Man.
this means he's here as well. Right.
Presumably.
I'm going to head through further down.
Yeah, you
that
kind
way.
of search for another exit. There is some pretty high-tech stuff here, kind of as you're just like trying to navigate through. But what you come across, and for the those of you that are tinker and the gadgets and gizmos and computers that have been whispered of, you enter what would have been. You've never seen one. You've only heard speak of one, but a actual computer. It is massive and takes up the entire space, storing everything on tape, which is still maybe even a little bit ahead of its time, but not for the military. You're completely impressed by what you see. And along one of the walls seem to be some TV screens, as if maybe there's a security system. But it seems that the power is out or there's something wrong with it. If one of you would like to try to fix it, there is potentially that option. So let's see. I believe there is actually a technology one. I gotta make sure I get the right one. I would say that's a craft roll. So if you wanted to roll a craft roll for me, we'll see. You can kind of walk up and fiddle with it. It looks like you might be able to get them going. You seem to be in some kind of
I think this is not a craft roll I can use my wrench for.
yeah, sure. You like go over and like mess with a few things.
Yeah, okay. So because my wrench adds another 2 to my craft of 4.
Beautiful. Yes, you use your handy
So this
dandy
is a plus 6
wrench.
roll, and that's an 8.
Wow! Holy cow, that is a legendary roll. Wow. So you guys watch this. He goes over and he begins to fudge with, fiddle with things. Flashlight in his mouth, like any good mechanic. And you like fix a few things. And as you're messing with stuff, you actually find. Yep. And he hits a button, and the security system. Blue light comes into the room and hits all of you, and you see a security system of this entire facility. The lights in this room actually also come on, some kind of electrical surge, he calls. So this room, like, it's on. It seems like the security cameras are maybe on some kind of backup generator or something that keeps them going. And you see quite a few things. There are holding facilities, really nothing more than jails. They're not barred. They use some kind of glass or plexi that they're held behind. And you see quite a few soldiers, some of them holding themselves and rocking, some of them kind of losing their minds, other ones of them crying in corners, but all of them seem to be in some kind of disarray and disrepair.
What
there
sort
is some
of
kind
room are they in?
So it's like it's just like a security camera in a jail. It looks down a long hallway, and it's like cell after cell after cell, and then the next TV screen shows all the individual cells, and the next TV screen shows a medical facility that's currently empty, and your eye pings down to the bottom row, and it is devastation. It shows a room where there seems to have been an explosion, a boiler room or a research lab of some kind. Bodies lay strewn about the floor. And it's about this time that your head flashes to the last television, and there are 2 people that come walking down the hallway, staring right at the camera. You know this to be both your son and your husband, Angie. They don't look like the people you remember.
Oh boy.
Your husband's arm is flat and narrow, like that of a blade. It comes down into a point. He's been augmented in some way. And your son, he too seems to have this rabidness to him. He said something grafted across his eyes, and you're not exactly sure what it is. And you guys watch as they stroll down the hallway into a room that no longer is shown on the security cameras.
Is there some sort of blueprint of the facility on the wall?
You could try to use the computer. That's what we consider a cyber burglary. I don't know if you've ever used a computer before, but you could try to maybe get some information. It's going to be a very high roll. So, but not from what you can tell. You just know that you're going to be somewhere. Yeah, if you want to do a base roll, you could also take the skill burglary if you wanted to. That's up to you. You could just add it on your sheet somewhere if you had a spot open for it, which I'm sure you do.
Okay, let's try. So that's a +2.
I mean, you've already jimmied a door, so it's not.
You did, yeah. You jimmied the hell out of a door. So a flat 2. That's what we consider a fair roll. You try. This is very high technology for the 50s, something that only top secret government facilities would have had. So you're not necessarily used to using a computer. You're not even sure what this, all the things do. Yeah, you're trying and nothing's really happening. But that being said, something here in this place rumbles underneath you. The ground around you, the walls shake, things fall again, as if the whole facility may be unstable in some way.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And you watch after that moment as the two figures that you know as your husband and the son walk into the kind of boiler room where all of the chaos seems to have kind of started, where the explosion may have originated from.
Right, this is a government facility. There has to be a plan on the wall of the corridor with the emergency exits.
Sauce.
Yeah.
Know your way. And so I'm trying to figure out where we are and where the boiler room is on that
Okay.
path.
Yeah, that's a good, so let's, I would say you kind of begin to piece it together. It's difficult using just that, but when you heard the rumble from underneath you can only rightfully assume that there must be a downstairs. It must go even farther into the earth.
It's okay.
It's going to be under you, and one of the screens shows a flight of stairs that lead down.
Let's look for the stairs.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume it's further the other way.
Yeah, you kind of go back into the hallway, and you ping it just there. You even find the security camera up on a wall, and you're like, okay, there it is. And you guys head down, I'm guessing down the flight of stairs?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. As you go down, once again, the air is thicker, denser. And something is on the walls and the floor.
Oh,
You're not sure. It's kind of almost like it might be wet. Maybe the sprinkler system went off. You're just not quite sure. The ground has a shiny liquidness to it.
It's not red, is it?
It is not red.
Okay. At least something.
Yeah, it's not. It is not red. You're not staring at walking through puddles of blood. It's almost you know how when you mix water and gasoline, it gets that shimmery, iridescent kind of finish on it. It's almost like that. Yeah, if you want to try to smell it.
Yeah, well, I was actually gonna poke my finger in it and kind of go real quick, just kind of lick it.
Okay.
Like a little taste test. Why not?
Yeah.
Look, I've had maybe 1 or 2 shots of vodka from my flask right now. All right, so
You've been drinking.
You can roll and investigate on that.
all right.
Let's see.
I have no skill in it.
That's okay. You can either take the skill if you want to add it to your skills, or you can just roll the flat 4 and take it as it is. We consider that just a mediocre. I consider it a mediocre skill. You're mediocre at investigating things. How do you feel about that? Okay. It tastes like.
That was me.
That was you. That was him.
Oh, that was him. Okay. At a -3.
No, that was me. So I don't smell anything I recognize.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you don't really smell anything. It's but it does stick to your fingers. It's thicker than water, and you kind of move it around. You're like, what is that? It's almost like lotion or yeah. And the more you begin to try to wipe it off, the more it kind of begins to go everywhere. It's it just gets stickier, and you're you can't. You did the same thing.
Wipe it on my rag.
Yeah, you wipe it on the rag, and then it's kind of, it's on the regular, like, okay, is it ever going to get not sticky on me? And why don't you also roll an investigate since you tasted yours? You tasted it. Let's see if you figure out anything different.
Won't let me roll.
Oh, weird. You right-clicked the...
Yeah.
Might have to reset.
They sort of disappear. Just type.
Oh,
there we go.
There you go. Okay, wait, there. Okay, so
Yeah,
negative
expected.
2. You don't, yeah, you taste it and you're like, and it starts to like when you put it in your mouth, it almost starts to get thick like bubble gum, and it starts to stick everywhere in your mouth, and you begin to like have a hard time like swallowing and getting it down, and it gets thicker and thicker. The three of you that are also standing here, as you begin to trot through, you notice that your feet begin kind of sticking to the floor. And whatever that you're standing in is either soaking your shoes or moving up your leg. You're not 100% sure. And
right, I try to get through as quickly as possible to the other side.
And we are going to go into. I was about to say we're about to go into our first kind of conflict or combat, if you would. This is just basically going to be an opposition roll for everyone. So anybody that wants to move, I am going to need you to roll an let's see. Do I want this to be an athletics? Yeah, because it's going to be basically your feet are sticking to the ground. It's like trying to run through tar or something. As it holds you down, so you can roll an athletics. If you don't have athletics, you can take it. If you don't feel like it's right for your character, simply roll the 4 fate die.
Oops.
Would that be a +2 in fair?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Woof. Okay.
2. All blank.
Oh, okay. Well, the good
like tripped
news
and fell.
is, I was about to say, pretty much everybody is going to get caught, except this was it was a great, would be Merle. Merle, in fact, is the one that manages, maybe it's because he's trudged through quite a lot of sludge in his day and time, and you make it almost to the door, and as you pull yourself, as you're trying to exit this room, and you can hear your friends being like, basically it's like sucking them to the floor, it's taking them over at this point, whatever this like thing and stuff is everywhere. You look around the corner and you see the boiler room, and there's a giant vat of something that has a giant crack in it and has spilled everywhere, all over the place. And you guys are basically trudging through what has spilled down into this adjoining corridor. And as it begins to take all of you over, you can feel it's cold as it moves up your legs. It's pinning your arms to the ground. It starts to ingest itself through your nostrils and into your mouth. Something happens. You can feel it attaching itself to your insides, and it all but sucks the life from you. So what I'm going to do is have everybody make a will. This is a will roll. If you haven't taken will, again, you can do so, or you can simply roll it as a mediocre roll. Ooh. Okay. So some good and some bad.
4.
All right. So we see you guys. For those of you, I think this one needed a 4 as well. So if you rolled a 4 or higher, you maintain kind of your sanity in this moment as you are able to maintain consciousness through what is going on as your body begins to be taken over by something that's attaching itself to you. And each of you feel something very, very different. The ones of you that rolled a 4 or less, you begin to pass out, choking on this thick whatever it is that's taking over your body, and you fall face down as it begins to merge with your organic matter. And each of you, in that moment, the two of you kind of watch as everybody goes down around you. And once it has completed whatever it has done, you feel the painful moment of it ripping itself from your body. It's almost like it went in, changed whatever it needed to, and then exited from your body. And exactly. The pain of it coming up wakes the three of you that had kind of passed out. And you take this giant, deep breath in. You don't have any damage. Yeah, you kind of throw up, you feel nauseous, but something has invaded you. You feel it. Something's changed. It changed each of you.
Oh boy.
Maybe we should go up. Maybe we should have waited for someone else to come down here.
And you notice something interesting as you get to your feet and you're still hurling and you're trying to like gather yourself. The liquid that was across the floor that just invaded your body parts like a small red sea as each of you begin to walk as if it has no interest in you now.
That is gross.
What was that? Well, what's happening? I feel
Demonic bubblegum.
strange.
That's what that was.
What's going on here? What is it doing? And I'm going to try to purposely step back onto it. What happens when I do that?
When you go to step back onto it, it parts.
You guys
It's
see
like
this?
it
Look what
kind of
happened now.
moves.
We couldn't get rid of it before.
think
Now look
it's-
at it.
I think it's happened to me too, and I try and step on it, and nothing.
It moves right out of the way, yeah. If nothing else, it begins almost to recede out of this space back towards the vat that actually Merle saw.
We are all going to the doctor right now. We are all in for a checkup. And
The
it is time
room's just
to...
right over here. What we were looking for, that room. You want to leave right now?
Oh, shoot. You're right. All right.
Wait,
When you're
I
right,
don't
you're right.
think that's a.
But let's
I
head
don't
on.
think
Let's head
that's a
on.
real good
We need to
idea.
find out what happened. We need to find the stairs.
We're looking for the boy.
Yeah.
I'm going to head into
And-
the room where the bat is.
Okay, yeah, you round the corner because it's really the only place this hallway leads. It's kind of a short, narrow hallway, and you round the corner into a giant, probably, you can only assume a medical or science facility of some kind. And there is a man wearing a white lab coat that has been hung. He's kind of, there's like a wall, and somebody has pinned him with medical medical equipment through his arms, and they have like hung him almost in a crucifix style on the wall, and he bleeds out at the base of where he hangs.
Ouch.
Yeah, I'll head towards him and try to basically take all these the bits out and attach them to the wall
As you get
and
close,
sort of
he kind
let him down.
Yeah. As you get close and you reach for it, he says, don't remove it. And in like a very quaint and kind of empty breath, he says, I'll gonna die anyways. And you see that
What's
his
going on?
badge says Dr. Moore on it.
Yeah.
Yes,
going on,
Dr. Moore?
in fact. Yes.
Not good.
And
And,
he
I
says-
think here we're looking at evidence of the communist involvement in whatever plot this is. They've clearly invaded this gentleman, perverted his insides.
So you don't think? Oh, go on. Never mind.
Oh no, yeah. He kind of he lifts his head with what little bit of energy his body can withstand. You don't exactly know how long he's been hanging here, though it couldn't have been too terribly long. And he actually looks at James, the radio announcer, and he says, "We did this. We did this. It was the Americans. We were wrong, so wrong." And he kind of begins to weep as his body quakes and shivers, hanging there, bleeding out.
Angie's going to walk forward through this, and she's got that like stony, angry face again, and she takes him by the chin, and she's like, "What happened to my husband, Tony? Apollonia?
Tony.
What happened? What happened to my? What did you do?"
You mean experiment
son.
1142? You mean... and he like coughs.
Oh boy.
I turn his face away when he coughs. So he doesn't spit on me.
Yeah, so he doesn't spit on you. He says your husband was dying. He didn't want to tell you.
From what?
He signed up for a medical experiment through the military to try to, and he coughs again, cure his cancer.
What did you do to him?
He motions his head over to a table that seems to have all of his research on it.
I will go look
At least
at the
it's
table.
not like scorched. Yeah. What you walk over.
Right.
If you have any kind of if you can probably roll an investigation for this one. I was trying to think if there was a better one that's a little bit more specific to like intelligence, but I would take an investigate on this.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's 4
Yeah,
plus
I'll look
2.
too.
Yeah, so four of your die. Yep, great. Okay, so you kind of look over the research, and it's definitely medical. Okay, and he'll continue to talk as you guys kind of flip through and begin to piece the parts together. Medical documents about experiments that they did on them, but more importantly, it's the actual medical whatever their research was and they decided to use on them that seems most interesting. It seems to be some kind of biological it was meant to heal people. It's almost like a biological chip or microbionics that get inserted into their bloodstream that's supposed to go through and change them, eat away at the bad things. And he says, we injected them, held them here to watch them. He's like, unfortunately, they became stronger than we ever planned. No one was supposed to know.
So he's still
That's
alive.
my son.
He says, your son is long
Morris
gone.
Jr.
He says, I remember him. That's experiment 1134. That boy was demented. And he kind of points, he can't really point because he's crucified to the wall, but he says, in his head. We tried to, yeah.
As it says that, I said, my son is not demented. I punch him in the face.
And you see his head like smashed against the wall, and he goes limp. His nose drips, but little blood is left in his head. And you guys continue going through them, and this is basically what you find. That there was some the military, the psychological research they did on your son showed that he had some questionable things, and they wanted to see if this new nanite or bionic weapon that they were, or medicine that they were going to use would heal both the mental aspects as well as the physical issues of the human body, which is why both of your husband and your son were kind of brought into this. But there are about 50 or 60 soldiers that have been roped into this level of experimentation. Recently, they believe they had kind of made the perfect version of the nanites or the bionic weapon, which is why they were getting excited. And his notes, like I said, mentioned how strong these two in particular experiments were getting, though maintaining their anger for being held captive was becoming problematic. And yeah.
I was gonna say, does it say anything about their mental state?
About their mental state, yeah. Both of them over time became more and more volatile. But it shows that some of the other experiments they did on a few of the other soldiers were very successful in terms of healing. Limbs grew back almost entirely. People's vision healed itself. And some people stopped at just the small things. They didn't have the aggressive nature that came out. But about 1 in every 3 experiments seemed to be extraordinarily aggressive.
Is the man still alive? The Dr. Moore?
You could definitely try to wake him. He is breathing heavy, but he's breathing.
Okay, I'm gonna kind of lift up his like head, just like underneath chin him.
Yeah,
ask him if there is there a way to fix or reverse what you did to her husband and his son. And I would like to be. Go ahead.
No, you're gonna be intimidating?
I want to hear his answer first. No, I'm gonna actually be apathetic and ask him to. Do you have any family? Do you have anybody that you can relate to what you did with them?
He says
think about if you were in your shoes.
Help them. They would have died without
And
us.
look how that turned out now. But
And he says
we
they-
can correct this. We can correct this. We can fix what happened here.
We were looking and researching a balancing chemical for those that showed signs of aggression. And he says, but then it exploded. And he looks over at the vat and he says, and now we have all been exposed.
Shit. Is there an antidote? Or that's what it's called, right? An antidote.
He says there's no need. The nanites enter the body, do what they do, and then exit again.
Oh shit, y'all! Maybe
How
out
long before
loud.
people show
That's why they
signs?
left us.
Yeah.
That's why
How long before the
bubble
people
went
show
away from us.
signs? How long does it take?
Some are instant. Others need triggers.
What kind of triggers?
He says, the ones that make you angry, or sad, or extremely happy. Extreme measures of emotion seem to trigger the body in ways we could not have expected. Your son's anger, or your husband's anger, caused his body to mutate into a weapon. Sharp, forceful. And he looks over at your son, he says, and your son, he could see and feel things. He was an empath. And he says, and now, he can read minds. But at the cost of his vision.
Where is he?
Somewhere here. I hope they have not found their way out of this facility, or the town of Kensington will burn.
I'll storm off in a direction opposite direction from where we come from, and I'll just start searching.
Okay. And as you feel this kind of rage build up inside of you, the passion, and exactly as he mentioned, something in your gut begins to grumble. Right?
Mm-mm.
And you realize that the wrench in your hand begins to morph with your arm, and your arm begins to turn into the thing that you were holding. Your fingers like out into a sea wrench, and your arm becomes as hard as metal. You guys watch in his anger as it changes right in front of him, and you gain your next stunt, of course, which I have listed here. I want to make sure I give you the right name for it. But basically, it adds a few things, or this one does anyways. This is called a natural weapon. And you seem to have some kind of built-in natural weaponry. In this case, it's not a claw, it is your actual wrench. And you guys watch as his hand turns into this metal, like, thing.
Morris, you're really going
You
to fix that
always do
Buick now?
that.
Your hand's a wrench.
Right. I still sort of stared in disbelief for a moment.
Morris, that's really weird. That's really weird,
and then I
Morris.
just carry on,
He just, like-
searching for my son.
Yep. You storm out. So there does seem to be another exit that goes somewhere else into the facility. And a
looking
flight
for
of
the stairs.
stairs. Are found pretty easy. And you guys see him walk off. What do the rest of you do?
Did
I
you guys
run
see what
after
happened
him.
to his arm? Did you see that? What was that?
Yeah, we all saw that. Just hold on a minute now. We've been exposed to chemicals, and we discovered there's no antidote. Right now, we gotta take care of your husband. I point to Angie and his son, and I go sprinting off after Morris.
I follow.
You sprint off. Okay.
Nobody's going to talk about his arm turning into his wrench. Nobody's going to talk about that.
Well, I mean, yes, that happened. His arm did turn into a wrench. It would appear, young man, that these scientists, in their attempt to cure cancer, have tampered in God's domain and unleashed the fury of, some sort of biological hell on not only these bright and flowering in the prime of their lives, but also all of us. It's not good, and now 2 of them have run off. and we need
But
to
his
keep up.
arm turned into a wrench.
It's
That
a
doesn't
wrench
explain
now.
any
Yes,
of
sir. Well,
And you actually, this is about the time something happens to you, James. You hear the man hanging on the wall, dying in front of you. You hear him speak, but you do not see his mouth move. And he says, "Oh no, they have been exposed. The nanites have combined with his DNA." No mouth movement, only as if you might be reading his mind.
anybody else hearing like a guy talking right now?
I always hear people talking.
Sure.
Always.
Okay. Besides him, anybody else? Anybody who doesn't live in a junkyard? Anybody? No?
And
Far out.
you hear again the voice say, "Is he talking about me? Can he read my mind?"
Oh boy.
And he says,
well,
yeah, go ahead.
I'm just gonna have a moment. You know, this is a pretty quiet dude. You know, he drinks his coffee, he does his show, he walks around. This is probably the most excitement maybe he's ever had. This maybe he wrapped his truck around a light pole that one time. But it's you know, I've got a look on my face like, oh shit. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. And you guys watch as he begins to listen in on the thoughts actually of the man hanging from the wall. Something begins to sprout from the back of his head. It pierces through his hat actually he's wearing. Seems to be an antenna. Is that an antenna that is growing out of his head and is picking up on brainwaves and his mind? You're not 100% sure. And you see the head of the man lift the doctor, and he says, "Amazing. They have provided you with telepathy. You can read my mind via radio signals."
So I have an antenna sticking out of my head?
Gadget.
Yeah, and it's like short, you know, it's like really short, but just like the one that seems to be able to, and you can even, like, you feel up and touch it, and as you move it, you get static in your head. Yeah, and it holds the hat just up off your head just a little bit.
Oh boy. You know, I liked wearing this hat. Now I got an antenna. It's not good.
It's
But I'll
not
tell
an
you-
antenna.
Just think
Boy,
to
this is
poke a
gonna
little
take some
hole
use.
through, so
Yeah, y'all don't laugh. I got an antenna. He's got a wrench for a hand. This is getting weird and fast. We need to get a 20 on these people. And then get the hell out of here. I got to go to the doctor. It's bad. It's bad, folks. Hearing
It's
things.
like-
I'm going to start emptying my pockets because at this point I've associated things they had on their person as growing out of their body. So I'm just going to start getting rid of like really random junk. Like,
yeah,
and
you start
just
like
exit
emptying
out
out
where
your
they
pockets. Okay, yeah, you empty
Just
out your
kinda-
pockets almost entirely. And exit after them. But
Yeah.
all of you are beginning to get this kind of quaky feeling in your gut, that feeling of nausea as it rises. For those of you that have had weird things start happening, whether or not you acknowledge them, each of you are getting that, like I said, that faint feeling in your gut as you continue to move down the
there it is.
stairs. And as you move down the stairs, you see it also leads into what seems to probably be the hallway with all of the prisoners.
oh right.
Oh boy.
I look for someone who looks like my son.
It doesn't look like it, that he's here. All of these, the like 5 or 6 of these are all closed off. There are prisoners on the inside of them, though some of them seem to be extremely rabid. Some of them seem to have lost their mind, gnawing at their fingernails, kind of whispering and talking to themselves. None of them seem to be terribly, terribly interested in each of you.
Right, okay. Then if I can't see my son, I'll head on further down the corridor.
You keep going, and it ends in a storage type closet that has straight jackets, handcuffs, those kinds of things. But it seems like maybe you have reached the bottom level. Thus far,
Huh.
you have not seen them. Yeah, I've not
Sawdust
seen them.
cleaning product.
Can't be here. Then I turn around and head back upstairs. They're not here.
All right.
And I didn't see Tony either.
Who?
Tony.
Oh yeah, no, you haven't seen Tony either.
Angie's husband.
Yeah.
Right. In that case, head back up.
All right, and as he begins to take off, those of you that haven't had anything, I guess, strange or odd happen to them, the pain in your stomach is almost a bit too much. And Angie, your pain moves up and into your spine. You get this feeling that something has attached itself to you, and it tries to rip itself free in your back. And you guys watch as Angie, metal, what are those, wings maybe, sprout from her back, actually like protrude from her back. The emotional stress of searching for her husband in this state causes these wings to spread. It looks like the nanites have attached themselves to your spine, and they have expanded it. And these wings are not beautiful feathery wings. They're made of metal and bone. Meshed together. You can hear them rub against one another when she flaps them. And they almost knock you down as they pop out of your back. It's extremely painful the first time. It rips the skin free, Angie. But you can, in fact, control them as you take almost flight in this room. Down at the end, you are levitating, if you would.
What's going on?
We got
Where were
wings
you
on.
keeping those? What is that? Where were you keeping those?
What's on my back? What's get it off, get it off.
Yeah, and as you
I'm gonna
reach
walk
and begin
over
to
and
panic,
try to
and
grab
she's kind of like, yeah, you try to grab her, and you like grab her by the foot, but as she begins to panic and move around, something else happens to you, Angie. As she begins to panic, you notice things in the room, small things, like even the junk from the closet, begin to almost float and levitate, as if her anger is beginning to control the things around them through telekinesis. And things are beginning to almost like swirl around her. So not only does it look like she can fly, but she looks to be controlling objects with her emotions and her mind.
Nice.
So at this point, Merle is convinced that this has something to do with the things they had on them. So I'm going to look for the most useful item in the room and just clutch on it. Like, because when it happens to me, I want to have like the most useful thing to become part of my arm or whatever it would be, because I'm just completely off base.
Yeah, you in this room there's not going to be too much because this is a holding facility, but you find a fire hydrant like on the wall and some other things, and you're trying to test it out. Really, is what you're doing, is testing the waters. And you reach for this fire hydrant, and when you do and you grab it, your fingers puncture through it, as if your fingers are made of pure metal. It costs you no energy to just like grip and break through the metal exterior of this fire hydrant. And you kind of pull your hand away and it shakes a little bit, and you begin to notice that your body begins to like morph in some way. And you have the urge to almost walk on all fours because you would be able to move easier through the space. You get you basically look down, and your hands turn into metal fingers with claws, and you grip the ground. And as you back away and you grip the wall, as if you potentially could climb it with your metal claws.
Okay. Yeah, this is weird, guys. This is weird. But as I'm telling him it's weird, I'm gonna actually go on up the wall. Like, this isn't right.
Like, this is weird, going on? This is weird. Yeah, you're almost like a cat. You know, like when a cat gets used to its claws in the sofa. You know, kittens are like, they stick to stuff. I feel like you haven't figured out yet how to retract your claws. So it's kind of that kind of thing where you're walking, but then your hand gets like caught, you know, so you have to like pull it free. And you guys watch as almost in a very kind of bestial, animalistic way, he begins to kind of crawl up the wall.
Oh, lovely. It's a Japanese horror movie.
And the rumble happens again, this time from upstairs in the boiler room, and you hear the sound of the doctor, as if somebody killed him. His voice echoes down the flight of stairs into the room with you. And a laughter is heard, a sadistic laughter. And you know it, but you don't know it, Angie.
Yeah.
I like fly in that direction. I think everything that I had in the air sort of smashes into something as I go.
Okay. And as you run upstairs, I'm guessing, do all of you follow her? So I know where
Yes.
everybody is.
I'm gonna shout out to her, like, Angie, my dear, you need to prepare yourself for the worst.
And yeah.
Take a deep breath. Gonna get through it, hon.
I don't think she's
got
breathing
wings?
at the moment.
Yeah,
I
she
think
just
she's
like,
holding
and
her
your
breath.
wings just like, and I imagine they just fold behind you as you bolt up the stairs. You guys run up after her, and you see, as you, we'll say actually, for the sake of this, Joseph comes up the stairs first behind her, running up.
Yeah.
And a beam of some kind of energy is shot from across the room and smashes into your chest. You guys watch as Joseph goes flying and smashes against a metal wall. Hits the ground. And you inhale, and it is like breathing the freshest breath of air you have ever breathed in. Whatever this energy bolt or beam was that hit you is absorbed into Joseph. And you feel it. It makes your heart... as if it has just like charged you up, and you guys watch, he glows this strange color of light and energy. You feel as if you could maybe project that even, or shoot it at someone. You could redirect the energy as a weapon. But he stands there like glowing, and it's just this invigorating, euphoric feeling to have that much energy passing through you, and being controlled by your heart as if it is pumping your own blood.
That's weird. I feel a lot. I'm cured. That's what I am.
Whoa.
And as she flies by me, I'm like, what the fuck? And I
And
follow
you-
her.
Yeah, and as you guys come around the corner, you guys,
Goodness gracious.
right.
I know we're all turned
it is the 50s.
Let's try to keep it together.
Yeah.
And it's
Sorry.
actually the sound of a young boy's voice. He hasn't seen too many years, but he does seem tarnished in some way. And you see at the end of the room stands your husband, Angie. Blades for hands, and the boy, your boy, next to him. His eyes are bound, covered, and you can see his hand is still outwards, where he is the one that actually projected the energy forward and into the room. And he says, "I know you're here, Father. I can feel your presence, hear your thoughts."
Well, you come here.
No, I think I'd rather not.
Oh, yes, you will.
Uh-oh.
He stands next, like I said, to Angie's husband, or what's left of him. He doesn't look like the man you knew. He stands shirtless. Whatever is coursing through his veins, the nanites that connect to his physical form to make these blades, pump through him. And he stands there almost like foaming at the mouth in enraged anger.
Tony?
You can stop this. Think
I am
about
not
it
Tony
really
anymore.
hard.
There is no stopping this. They did this to us, to all of us. He shouts out. And you can see he has clearly filleted the man that they had already hung on the wall open. He put a blade through his side.
Tony, you have to calm down. Maybe somebody can help us.
There's no going back. They turned me into a monster, and he like slings his blades outwards, and you can hear them shoo through the air.
Ah.
Look at
Throw
me.
knives at us?
He didn't. He just kind of like tossed him to the side, but you can only imagine he might be able to sling the nanites at you. Mhm.
Okay. Oh, all right.
He kind of like ching, ching, almost in a threatening way. He says, "I can't even touch you anymore. I never thought there were worse things than death, but I am wrong. I should have just died."
But you're not dead, and as long as you're still breathing, we can try to find a way to fix this. You should have told me what was
Fix
going
it.
on.
They trapped me here. Now I am free. And us, and he looks to the boy, says, "The two of us, we know the truth, and we will reveal it to the world. that our government is corrupt and they use their own soldiers as test subjects.
You know how you can do that with a journalist, and I kind of present
Radio.
radio.
All right.
James.
The boy says,
Can't you send it straight through your head now?
"What do you?
Over that antenna?
Oh yeah, his antenna.
Travis.
Yeah." The boy actually speaks only to you in your mind. Your antenna picks up on his brain activity, and the boy speaks to you in your, I guess, your mind's eye, if you would. And he says, "I can hear your thoughts."
Yes. Hello, young man. This is a treacherous situation, to say the least. And I sympathize with you and your condition. Let me tell you something, son. It is weird and getting weirder. So here's the thing, though. Whatever happened to you, whatever strange, bizarre, hellish science that was unleashed on you and this other gentleman, it seems we've picked up the same thing. I've got an antenna sticking out of my head, as you can tell, and you and I are talking without actually talking to each other, which is new to me. And also...
And he says, no, you have more than that. It is ironic that the radio man can also control the weather. The nanites are smart. They may not have a sense of humor, but they know the things that we are most connected to.
Keep that to myself. Not even going to discuss the career implications of being able to control the weather here. So we're just going to... That is
It's a conflict of interest.
Looking forward. But seeing as how I am surrounded by such desperate loss, we're not going to talk about how I can apparently control the weather. I am glad to hear that. But you've got knives for hands, son. And we're going to have to do something about that. So we're going to take a deep breath. We're going to take a deep breath. We're going to count to 10. Your father loves you, wants the best for you, and raised you from a son, fed you, put a roof over your head, and the government, apparently, and I am disappointed to hear, is evil. That's bad. We're going to deal with that in a court of law and in due process, which is what makes this country so wonderful. What separates us from evil communists.
I was about to say, the boy says back to you, "This is no wonderful country. Live your life in lies." And now he speaks out loud. He looks up at Andy's husband. And he says, "Is it time now? You know we cannot let them leave." And he looks down at the boy. "No, you're right. They will foil our plans of domination. We are the only two." And he looks up and he says, "We are the only two." And they look at all of you, and he slings his hands out and he says, "I love you, Angie. But
Tony?
it is time for me to move on." And they both charge, and we will go into our first major combat.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, James. I thought presenting them a charismatic figure with free press, all that. Good story. Thought it'd work.
So
Well, it's been a big day.
Yeah, it's been a big day for everybody. So this is how combat works, at least in terms of rolling initiative order. Initiative is actually driven by will. So if you don't have will, just roll it. And it's still a number order type thing, but your will is always going to be the highest. Again, you guys may want to pull up that document I shared with you that has all of your powers on it. Okay. The one thing that we didn't really, I didn't define, which I can, would be Merle's other power is actually machine control. You can control machines from far, turn things on, that kind of thing. So just we'll play with that and add it. So I'm gonna have everybody call their number out. Merle, your number.
Oh, one moment.
Your initiative order using your will.
So flat 0. I don't have any bonus.
All right, and James.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry.
Your initiative.
What? Okay, so I roll 4.
4. And if you have any will as a skill, which you can always add, you want to add that number as well.
All right, I do not have any will to add. I'm literally sitting here thinking about controlling the weather and forgetting that my name is James for the next hour. I got like spacing out, like, boy, I'm gonna make it rain and put out all those fires. This is gonna be badass.
Morris,
She
what
said
was
my name?
your-
Should I
what
be
was yours?
3.
3.
Morris
Okay,
is
get
3.
it. Joseph,
Excuse me.
-1.
-1, and Angie.
I got a 1.
Got a 1. Okay, let me just quick roll for the two of them. Let's see here. Stop that. Oh, +1, so we got a 2 from the boy. What's your boy's name, Morris?
It's Morris Jr.
Great. He
That's
no
gonna
longer
make sense
goes
on the
by that.
Family tradition.
Yeah, we'll say, as he runs, as you call out to him, no, Morris Jr., and he says, my name is not Morris Jr. anymore. I am the Oracle. As he bum rushes you with his mind, I guess. And then the last one, very quickly, also gets a +1, and that would put him at a 0. So your husband rushes you, Angie.
Oh, man.
And we will start at the top. So it will be James up first. What is the first thing you do, James, as they start to rush you? Now, in combat, you have 2 options. You can take your turn and become defensive, which means if they make an attack against you, it becomes harder for them to hit you. Or you can take your turn and actually make action.
I think I'm going to have to go defensive because I'm going to attempt to pacify them with my telepathy here in a second. But first, I'm going to dive behind something and not get slashed by mind knives.
Great. Yeah, that's a good idea. You kind of barricade yourself behind probably a medical desk of some kind or whatever's in the room to avoid getting hit direct. Yeah. Great. So you take your turn to do that, which means if they attack you next round, it will become more difficult for them to do so. Morris.
I'm going to defend as well. And
Okay.
basically what I'm going to do is raise my arms and I assume sort of instinctively my forearms sort of fuse together and form a shield.
Yeah. So as you bring your 2 arms up, they almost form one giant wrench. Like I picture this huge, just like get the flat side of like a sea wrench almost. As your 2 hands come and make the halves of it. Yeah, and they boom together, which is really, really cool. And you guys watch as his arms just kind of mold into a giant piece of metal right in front of you. And you also take the defense. That moves us to Morris Jr. Laughs and says, "Oh, Dad. How quaint." And he is going to make a mind attack on you. And he reaches out with his mind and begins to almost meddle in your thoughts, bringing up the worst of the life that you guys may have had. Even if you've had good things, he begins to rush it with horrible things. I don't know what maybe the situation was with your wife, but arguing in the kitchen, things that ruin
she left me because it was a trap.
Okay, yeah, so you can hear almost the repeat of the slamming of the door of her final leaving and the voice that she left, or the sound of the words that she left behind in her wake. And they begin to eat away at you. So this will be basically what I'm going to have you do is roll a will here, a will roll, and you will need to beat a 2. Or you will take our first round of damage, and you do. So maybe it's because you've had all these years to get used to it. But we're in the 50s. Jade Smile. She's in the kitchen because it's literally the 1950s in our game. So you do withstand it. Maybe it's because you've had time to cope with a lot of this, or maybe it's because you've already had a couple drinks today that your mind is quieted. But you push back, and when you do so, your son actually takes a physical backwards as you eject him basically from your mind. A manifestation from your mind. And we loop around. Yes.
Don't even think about it.
And he says, "You're stronger, Father, than I gave you credit for." And it becomes Angie's turn.
You know that.
Angie, your husband is rushing you.
I think in the moment of him rushing forward, Angie would throw up her hands and scream no. And I want to use a fate point to use my telekinesis to push him back and just push him away, like no. And it's kind of involuntary.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's what I'm going to have you do. What did I say your telekinesis, how did it work? I know you have to use the fate point to actually... okay, so basic telepathy... No, I'm sorry, not telepathy, you're doing telekinesis. Without physical... By hurling, you attack with will against targets in your zone. So roll me a... what is your will score? Or, like, 4. If you don't have it, you'll need +4. Oh, beautiful. So he'll need to beat a 4. Okay. If he's going to withstand you against his will, which is not as strong. He does not, and you do push him, and he takes he takes quite a bit of damage as he smashes against a wall. You push him almost much harder than originally expected. And on the way fate works is you have two different kinds of damage. You have physical damage and mental damage, and you have done quite a bit of mental damage, and he will take his first box of damage on his character sheet, and he checks it off, as you have done a number on him by tossing him across the room. Awesome, and we move right along. Next in line would be Merle.
So, the door, I'm assuming they're between us and the door?
Yeah, they've kind of blocked you guys off, yeah.
Is the door a mechanical door? Is it something I can short circuit to close?
Yeah, and you can do it from afar if you want to try to short circuit the door from afar.
Yeah, so I want to close off so that they can't get out.
Great. So you kind of like reach your hand out and you feel this energy, the connection, like you're like, I need to close that door, but something, it's almost like communicating with a human. You connect with the wiring on the inside of this door. So you'll need to use a fate point to activate that stunt. And I want to make sure that you don't need to roll for it. Let me just check it here. Without touching it, most machines won't resist, but some computers will put up a fair opposition. So do me a favor in this case and do roll me an empathy. You basically become empathetic towards technology. You have a almost human connection with technology. So if you haven't taken it, go ahead and take it. Oh, wow. Yeah, you like reach your hand out and you guys watch as he like almost like the force like reaches out and the door, this heavy medical door just closed. And you hear the metal lock. You can only rightfully assume that somehow Merle did this with his new developed powers.
Whatever happens in this room now, you're going to have a hell of a time getting out of it. And just kind of retreat back as much as I can.
Yeah, and you kind of, you back up and put yourself in position. Next up will be your son. Oh, no, I'm sorry, will be Andy's husband. He picks himself up and he laughs and says, "Oh, dearest wife, now I will have to kill you." And he is far enough away, he'll probably have to take his whole turn for movement. But as he runs, he's going to sling. And you watch as metal nanites, almost in this very thin metal plate, not bigger than this, is kind of spherical, through the air. He slings them almost like a blade. And they come right at you. And he's going to make a physique roll. At a -1, and it won't hit you, Angie, at a -1. So it kind of slings past you, maybe even your wings, like ting it out to the side, protecting you, almost like Doctor Strange's cloak might. And you watch as it hits the wall next to you, and the nanites dissipate into thin air. And we loop, and now it is Joseph's turn. Joseph.
I am going to attack and try to shoot off one of the... I don't have my second power yet, correct?
You do. You
My
have
second
all your
super.
powers. You just
Oh,
haven't
we do? Cool.
used it. Yeah, you have them all. Yeah, you just haven't because you absorbed
Right.
energy already, so you actually are in a place where you could
Yep.
do the energy blast.
I am going to stretch my hand out, just kind of get my best aim in, and try and attempt, maybe out of just pure luck, to shoot off Angie Husband's bladed arm.
Okay, so here's what you're gonna do. If you haven't taken the shoot skill, you're gonna want to add that because this will be this is how the actual energy blast is used. So take shoot. I'm sure at some point as a bartender you've had to shoot a gun. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Maybe not in this town, maybe in your last one, but you've had to shoot a gun. And you reach your hand out, and almost like a gun, all that energy that built and was being held in your metal heart projects right out of the palm of your hand forward. And who are you aiming it at, if you don't mind me asking?
5. Angie's husband with the blade.
Okay, great. So you rolled a 5, and was that with the +2 that you added to it because of your energy blast?
Yep. And
Okay, beautiful.
I was just trying to shoot that arm off, maybe just maim him a little bit, not completely kill him.
And that you said that was Angie's husband?
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, you watch as this, dense beam of energy explodes out of Joseph's hand, and it even makes that noise as it just slices his entire arm off. It falls to the floor. The nanites actually leave that arm and almost absorb back into the other body. And that arm lays on the ground, sans like blade or metal in any way. He holds it. The nanites begin to stitch him. You see him they begin to almost organically begin to print the arm back on, but it's going to take a while. It's not something that's just going to come back instantly. It will take multiple turns before, but he is down an arm at the moment. But he has taken quite a lot of damage. That would be considered not just any damage. That's actually consequence level, and a consequence is a more permanent damage that you take in Fate. So he has taken not just a mild consequence. He's taken even a step up from there, and he yells out as his arm begins to reappear thanks to the nanites. He seems a smidge distracted. And we loop back around to the top, James.
All right, so can I use my ability to confuse them or disorient them or zap them, put static in their head or anything like that?
Absolutely.
Let's do it. I'm gonna you got this look on my face. I'm just gonna try and mind spike them just to try and distract them and keep them.
Yeah. So you're using. So do you want it to be more of a mocking thing, or are you trying to? Ooh, I've got a fun idea.
Static.
Static. Yeah, static. You get that idea. You know that static electricity often can be brought on by certain types of weather, and when there is a lot of electricity in the air, the way lightning pops and things like that. And you use your skills to almost merge them in the mind of the child. Is the one you're going after?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you project that energy outward. You too can use a fate point with your telekinesis, basically, to almost create blocking his mind from being able to continue to do stuff. And you hold that concentration. So I will need you to roll me a will.
And that's 4?
4 fate die, plus if you have the will skill, you can take additional points. Okay. So at 2, it definitely does go in to his mind, and you get in there and begin to fog things up, and he goes, Stop it, I can't think. And he holds his head and kind of shrinks to the ground. And we continue. It becomes Morris's turn.
I'm not going to be active in any way. I'll keep my shield up and...
Okay.
Junior, don't have to do this. Think about it.
You actually, you can use this turn less as an opposition. I mean, you are trying to oppose him. There should be a roll for... Actually, I would take an empathy there if you wanted to try to talk him down, which is what you're trying to do. You're trying to get through to him.
It's just a basic roll. Zero, nothing.
Oh, right. Not enough. And he says, and maybe it's just the static I love that, the static that he has put in his mind. But he says, shut up, Dad, just shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. And he yells out in anger at you. And when he does that and he kind of like slams his fist on the ground, something else happens. A magnetic almost pulse out from his body. And it, for those of you that are nearby, it kind of knocks you backwards almost. And let's just see how. Okay, it's not very powerful. It's kind of more of a fit of rage. But none of you take any damage from it. You maintain your footing, but you watch and can tell that this kid probably has a very, very strong powers. Next up, Angie.
So I want to try to talk Tony down. I don't want to hurt him. He's already been injured. I want to try to. I say, Tony, please, we can deal with this. You don't have to take over anything. We can try to fix this. We both need to be fixed now.
He looks up at you and he says, but I've done things. They've made me do things. I cannot go back to who I was. And he kind of tries to stand up with his one good arm. You know, he's like holding just the nub that is kind of fixed itself. And he says, you have always been sunshine, but there's no place for you in this. And he kind of swipes his arm, not necessarily to hit you, but to get you to back up a little bit.
So I backpedal a little, like I flap back a foot to get away from the blade.
Yeah, you just kind of jump backwards, and he makes sure he doesn't want you in his space, as he is in a lot of pain and seems to be bleeding out. He seems to be significantly more injured than the boy is. And it becomes Merle's turn. Merle?
So, seeing the exchange between Angie and Tony, I'm gonna kind of advance to the wall where I can leap onto his good arm. You said I have claws, right?
Yeah, you have these like metal claws that allow you to...
Hands and feet? Or just my hands?
Sure! We can say feet too.
So then I'm gonna pounce onto like the shoulder and upper arm with my hands and feet, kind of like to try to pinch that arm off, disable his other arm.
Okay, why don't you? In this case, this is more of a physique roll because it's like a physical attack. So just if you haven't taken physique, you'll want to go ahead and add that to your skills list as well, and you can roll that up for me. That's actually pretty good. You managed to latch on. You don't get it like off, but you do begin to rip through it. You guys can see where he's almost like curling away metal on metal. It's like fingernails down a chalkboard. As he kind of rips away at it, he screams out, "Ah!" He does not like that at all. And it does, in fact, move to him. And when he sees this, he is going to make an attack with his blade, though he kind of is not going to be as good, obviously. He doesn't make it because you have kind of thinned out and messed up his arm. You see him go to his feet, or goes to his knees from his feet, and he begins to kind of cough up blood as if you guys have done enough damage where maybe he is out of play. And we loop it back around to the top. That would be James's turn. James, you can hold your concentration and maintain control over this kid. It does seem that you've managed to subdue him into this mental frenzy.
Ooh, okay. Cut out a little bit.
I'm sorry. I said you can maintain kind of a concentration almost on this, and you have successfully staticked his mind, if that makes sense, which means he can't do...
I'm going to hold on to him. I'm not going to get involved with the domestic issue going on over here with Angie and her husband. I'm going to hold on to the boy and keep him in stasis here.
Oh, I did. Okay, cool. You keep him in stasis. And while you keep him in stasis, Joseph goes, because you're right, I did totally skip Joseph. I apologize.
It's all good.
Yeah. No, you're good. By all means, go ahead.
I'm going to go up to Tony and say, don't want to hurt you. You are better than this. You do not have to be what they made you to be. But you gave me no choice. You were going to hurt us. Please. Stop.
And you, why don't you make an empathy roll?
Okay. I could do that.
Yeah. I want to see, because that is a high level of empathy, and it's kind of tough to get through to him. Let's see if you do.
Boom.
5.
Something about what you said registers with him, and he looks up at both his wife, who stands over him, the strange kind of goblin-esque human that is attached to him. He rips his arm free, and he looks up and he says, "I'm sorry," and jams his own sword through his stomach, ripping it, spilling his blood out, and he says, "This is the only way." Ugh. And he falls face down on the ground in a whisper of an "I love you" to Angie as his eyes flutter closed. And in this moment, you guys begin to hear a as the medical door is forced open by a slew of military men. They come in and immediately grab the boy. And put hands on the boy, and in walks behind them somebody in a
Leave
black
him alone.
suit. And they say, "Sir, we cannot do that. You know how dangerous he is. We are taking him from this facility, which seems to be a failed operation. Did you know your hands are a wrench?"
But the country of shield.
That's good.
Yeah, a shield. And he says, "It seems that
They're a shield, sir?
They're a shield, yeah, sorry. He says, "I see that the 5 of you have been exposed."
That might be, but you're not taking my boy.
I haven't exposed myself to anybody.
We would like to
quite
take the
surprising.
boy to quarantine. It seems
That's
that the
quite
5
surprising.
of you will have to come with us. Seems that the nanites have not taken over your mind or your aggression as they have. And he looks at what remains of your husband and the boy, and he says, "These two corrupted them. It is not their fault. We put them through strenuous experiments. We did this to them, and we owe them more. What do you call yourselves?"
Well, we're not going to be test subject number 25 3/4, I'll tell you that right now.
No, of course not. He says, once you have successfully merged with the nanites, and we know that they have not corrupted you, we allow you to choose a new name, or you are not the human you once were.
Well, I did not know that was where this was headed. What do you think, guys? You know, I do. Yeah.
Well, and goes and has 2 screwdrivers. But I prefer this. And goes back to his wrench.
Yeah, and he says,
Yeah, that'll be it. That's it.
the wrench.
Well.
How poignant. And he looks over to, go ahead.
I was going to say, Morris, you can spend the rest of your life with your hands as wrenches, making a fortune in that garage as a human tool, and I could certainly make a lot of money changing the weather and then predicting it live on the radio. And but I'll tell you, I feel as though if we can help humanity with these bizarre abilities, I feel a responsibility to do so.
If they let us.
That's probably my only problem with this current setup is some sort of government gatekeeper. While I do trust the government, my trust has been shaken quite a bit by the events of the last 3 hours. I'm gonna have to know a bit more about this agency, but as it stands in this moment, I am the wireless, and I will straighten out anybody who wants to mess with me. Thank you very much.
He looks you up and down and he says, "I like your charisma, wireless. and he looks over to Merle, and he says, "And what about you?"
Before I say anything, I'm going to close the door back up. And I'm going to tell him, you got gremlins in this facility. You can call me Gremlin.
Gremlin. Seems fitting for a man of your taste. Will be quite easy for you to move through your junk in your junkyard with claws like that. And he says, you know, it has been known for a few of our subjects to also grow metal teeth over time. I look forward to seeing your transition. And he looks over to Joseph. You look normal. Did the nanites not take?
Appears that way. No, they did, and I'm going to like grasp some of the fire that's around maybe and kind of see if I can mess around with that. And as he does, he absorbs it in and just kind of plays with it a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Goes, wow. We have not had somebody that can control the elements. This is impressive. Strong. How do you do that? You can feel your heart like thumping the energy like through it. It has something to do with your heart.
I just can. I don't know. I can inhale it too, and it just feels so right.
He gets close to you, and you guys too. When he kind of quiets the room, you can hear the goo 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 of a. He says, right there, and he kind of thumps your chest, your heart, pumps the energy through it. I think we shall call you Steelheart. Does that suit you?
I was going to go with Joe Gold, but I like that much better.
And he says, good. And he walks over to Angie last. And he puts a hand on your shoulder. And he says, your husband was a good man.
She's crying, like cradling him.
Yeah. And he says, you have an opportunity to do what he could not. To be a light in dark places. To be an angel.
Yeah.
Right his wrongs, Angie. Come with us.
She closes his eyes and she says, kisses him on the forehead, and she says, he was the angel.
And right, and he says, I promise you we will provide him with a proper burial. He served his country. We should not have done this to him. And two men come and begin to carry him out. And you guys follow them out. They lead you to a couple of cars, and they drive you to a government facility where you are introduced to a slew of other nanobite supers that they have been keeping underground. And each of you now have your code names. Codename Wireless, codename Gremlin, codename Steelheart, codename Angel, and codename The Wrench. But this is where our adventure ends. Yes, yes. This is where our adventure ends, and we will have to see how you save the world next time. So we're going to close out because I know we only have a couple minutes, and I don't want it to get us behind. So very, very quickly, if you guys will go around and tell everybody your name and where we can find you online super, super fast. And we'll just go around in the same order we went in before. So let's start with you, Travis.
My name is Travis. I'm the producer on WebDM. We, when I have my act together, we put new shows out on Wednesday. It is a pleasure to be here in Little Red Dot. You're a marvelous DM, and it was great to play with all of you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was a great. This is the first time we played together, so that's awesome. All right, the Celts.
Longtime fan of Encounter Roleplay. Thank you guys for having us. Dot, you did wonderfully. I've never played Fate before. This is my first time, so it was very informative, very fun. I'm the Celts on Twitter. You guys probably have seen me trolling around a bit, but it was a blast. Thanks for letting me stay up late with you guys.
Yeah, I watched the sun come up to my window. Thanks for watching the sun come up with me, Kels. Awesome.
No problem.
Next down the line, I've got Sullivan.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. I definitely want to play this more. And you're a great DM, so I didn't know what to expect. You can find me on Twitter at Soulibon. That's SOULIBON. BON on Twitter. You can also find me every Friday where I DM on my own channel, Soulbear RPG, a game called Threads of Fate. I saw some of my players in chat. And we've been going for at least almost a year now. It's going to come up on here, and they're still playing the same characters and all of that. And yeah, whatever you need, just follow me. Just follow Soulbear RPG on Twitch or on Twitter.
Awesome. Thank you. And next up, Miss Briggs.
Hi. Yep. So I'm Jeanette. You can find me. I play D&D and Cthulhu on my Twitch at JEBriggs79, and also JEBriggs79 on Twitter. And I play on Power Square RPG's Twitch channel as well. And this is my second time having Little Red Dot as my DM, and I love it. So thanks
for coming back. I'm glad I didn't scare you off too bad. So yeah, definitely check her out for sure. Thank you. And last but certainly not least, Mr. Callahan.
Yeah, I'm Ozzy. I'm current on Twitter and Twitch. I've played a few of your viewer games on Encounter Roleplay, and I saw this coming up. So yes, it's 9 a.m. in the morning, so I'm going to take half a day off work so I can play in this. And I really enjoyed it. Thank you so much for this.
yeah, for
exactly.
sure.
And I am still doing the occasional video game stream on my channel, and I'm I'm guesting on various RPG channels. Like I'll be on Grimtech 1502's channel on Friday at noon Eastern playing Conan. And then 3 hours later, I'll be on Sophie Mai's channel playing Blades in the Dark.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I, of course, am Little Red Dot. You can find me online and all the Little Red Dots. I play about 30 hours this fall. I will be clocking weekly of tabletop RPGs between that and writing content. Yep, on top of my full time. It's great. So you can check me out. Just check out my Twitter. I also keep my Discord there. So if you want to come chat tabletop RPGs, my Discord is always open for you to come join the table. And we did play Fate today. A few of you were asking. This is Fate Core. This is a superhero build out one-shot campaign that I did, and I'm beginning to test around. So I'm falling in love with Fate, and if you want to chat Fate, you know where to find me. Thank you all again. Yes, gotta love the Fate books. Love it. Thank you all again for being here, and let's wish ERP the best as they continue forth in this 48-hour stream. So you guys hang on, and the next show will be headed your way. Yeah.
Stay strong,
Thank you guys.
Right.
Oh, and of course,
Bye.
don't roll too many at once because we want to be there laughing when you do. Bye.
Bye.